Going live. It is December 28th, 2017. I feel good. I feel thankful. Breathing in life, staying positive, cutting off unhealthy, contentious people, and moving forward with my life. That's what I'm talking about. That's inspiration. That's inspiration. And just like I do every day, I try to go live, schedule permitting. And as people join the live feed, I'll read their comments and we'll have dialogue. This is part of my channel where I connect with my viewers. I also pick one specific topic. I share on that topic, and then throughout the course of the live stream, we can talk about anything: sex, politics, religion. But overall, I am in charge of keeping a healthy environment, and I determine that. This is my channel. So I try to give respect to other people's viewpoints, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I have to create a healthy environment for myself first, and then for others, to make sure that there is respect and positivity based on my opinion. That being said, what I want to share with you tonight as the specific structure topic, and then we can go into whatever you want. Tony Williams on the live comments. What's up, Tony? How are you, brother? How was your day? What I want to share with you on a specific topic is how to deal with the cops. Now, this is not necessarily in relation to just living like a nomad, someone who travels from town to town and lives mobile in their car, van, or RV. This is a general rule of life. And I've experienced different run-ins with the cops and different reasons, and I've had friends, I've had family members do it, and it's a very important topic for society and also for yourself. And I know a few people checked on the live streams, but I want to continue my wave of thought, and then I'm going to get to all the comments. The first thing is, when you get pulled over, if you get pulled over for a traffic stop, the first thing you need to do is obviously, pull over to the safe area, put your car in park, turn your ignition off, and turn all your interior lights in your car on. Get your paperwork, all your interior lights are on, you put your hands over the steering wheel, so when the cop approaches, he can see your hands and they're not hidden, and you have all your paperwork right on the dash ready to give him. You want to create an environment where that cop feels safe and respected, regardless of the type of environment that he or she may set, because you can't control the actions of others. All you can control is your own actions. So you are responsible. When you get pulled over, whether you feel you got pulled over fair or unfair, we've all been on both sides of that coin. You have to set a good tone and a good environment. That means you pull over, you put all your interior lights on so the cop can see what's going on, you roll down your windows, and you get your paperwork ready, and you put your hands above the steering wheel where the cops can see them, and you greet him or her pleasantly. And you don't catch an attitude right away, like, oh, would you stop me for this? You don't start that. I've seen my family members, my sister, do that and get herself in trouble. And it's your own fault. You don't have even if you feel you're in the right and the cops shouldn't have pulled you over, whatever, don't create a bad environment. And it's not by accident. The people that I've seen in my personal life experience in all walks of life create a bad environment, they're not just contentious with cops. They're contentious with their family members. They're contentious with when they go to the post office. They're contentious with the clerk, the clerk at McDonald's. They're contentious with everyone. So what I'm trying to do is, I believe in mind, body, and soul. I don't believe in just living cheap. Part of living well is having a good personality and knowing how to deal with situations. You show respect and you create an environment where the cop feels safe and calm, like you should. And if you feel you are served an injustice, then you document, and then you have your day in court. That's how it works in America. Now, the court system isn't perfect, and no system throughout the world is perfect. But it's the best that we have, and that's what we have to work with. And nowadays, with technology, if you want to have extra documentation, you keep a GoPro or some type of digital camera that just always records. You don't get your cell phone and flash it in their face and saying, I'm recording it, I have the right to record it. I've seen people do that. You know what? It's disrespectful. I would like to see, if you worked in an environment where you deal with customers and a customer came to you and they just put their cell phone in front of me. Oh, I want my fries extra large. I'm documenting you. I'm going to send this to McDonald's headquarters. You understand what I'm saying? That's a disrespectful tone. And I don't believe in it. And so I'm sharing on this topic because I have a video out there in my 500 video plus library that talks about when I had got pulled over once at different times in my life, once by the cops, not pulled over, but when I first started living out of my car, I was at a rest area. And again, I'm not just talking about just specifically living out of your car. I'm talking about life. Even if you live in a mansion, you're going to have to deal with getting pulled over or stopped by a cop sometime in your life. But this specific video was talking about I had just started. I was like only 2 weeks living out of my car. I didn't know all the rules and regulations. I was sleeping at a rest stop that wasn't 24/7 as far as you can sleep. It was only 2 hour max. So I was sleeping for like 4 hours. The cop happened to notice, and I did a whole video. He came and he ran my plates. He checked me out. And the cops were very respectful to me. They were fair. They were right. And they had every right to ask me. I was there past the limit. And, and after we had pleasantries, I gave them no problem. I kept it moving. They even said, look, sleep if you're tired. We don't want you driving, on tired. And there's been plenty of times in my life where I've been pulled over. And, sometimes the cops even give grace. And sometimes, it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. But what I'm trying to say is you need to develop in life a good personality regardless of your situation. Sometimes, I felt like different things I got wrong doing, but you know what? You don't fight it there. Then you go to court and you do what you have to do. You don't make your life harder. And I've saw everybody do this. I see my father do this. He got pulled over for not wearing a safety belt. White old Italian guy, because I want to be clear, because race is always part of it too in our culture. White old Italian guy, and here he is giving the cop shit. Why are you pulling me over? There's so many other people doing worse things in society, and you're pulling me over because I don't have my seatbelt on? That's not the type of attitude you give to the cops. You're wrong. You don't have your seatbelt on. I mean, it is what it is. I remember getting in a car accident. I was the passenger, and I went through a windshield, and I got a ticket for that. So, it is what it is. I understand no one wants to be bothered, but, you have to be respectful that one is they're doing their job. Sometimes, just like people you work with, whether you work in IT, whether you work in, Walmart, whatever, you work with some good people and you work with some bad people. Same thing with cops. You can't control that. And I understand you have one bad experience that turns you off, but I want to establish that, create the environment that's safe, friendly, and, sometimes you just got to eat some shit. And then if you feel you have to fight something in court, then that's where you do it. You don't do it, just document. Have a GoPro in your car. There's plenty of things that sell dash-mounted cameras and stuff. They'll document the whole thing. They'll document when you're driving, and etc. And they'll show you, your speed limit and everything. I'm saying this because, I got a couple like crazy comments there. One person was like, either totally like, oh, just totally like for anarchy, like cops are always wrong. And the other person was like, cops are always right. Those are the extremes of life. The bottom line is work on what you can control. Don't be an asshole. Period. Don't be an asshole. Document and then escalate in court if you feel you need to. But most times, just like most people in life, it's going to be, if you make it a decent experience, it'll be as decent as it can be. No one likes to get pulled over. No one likes to get stopped by the cops. But, my experience, there's been some great cops. Of course, there's been some bad. Everything in life is good and bad. But when you have a bad attitude, you make the situation worse. Whether you're dealing with cops, whether you're dealing with people on your job, whether you're dealing with whatever. And that's the common thread that I know, that people that give an attitude usually to cops it's not just to cops. It's their whole mindset towards life. And if you decide to live an alternate life, that's just as important as anything else. Because again, it's not about living cheap. It's not about who can live the lowest. It's about, if you want to willingly live this lifestyle, you want to live well and you want to thrive in your environment. And that means you're respectful to the law, you're respectful to police officers, and you don't try to prove that you have more rights than them. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, that's not wisdom, and that's not what I promote. Certainly if you're done an injustice, then document. Digital recorder, without shoving it in their face, without being disrespectful. And you go from there. But that's very much heavy on my spirit. Specifically, obviously, if you're going to live a nomadic life. But even if you're not, and I had one person that really came after me saying, oh, well, you're totally wrong. Like, your parents should be ashamed of you. I said, one is, you probably don't even talk to your kids because this guy sounded like a real asshole. I said, two is, I guess you don't even know the laws because it is legal to live in your car, van, or RV. It's legal. What is illegal is if you park somewhere for not the right amount of time in a certain area. There's plenty of places, parks, truck stops where you can park and sleep for up to 24 hours or whatever. And I keep it moving. I don't set up base. I respect those laws. So this guy had no idea. This guy was living a conforming life his whole time. His kids probably hate him because he was the type of parent that if you didn't grow up and you weren't society, if you don't wear a suit and tie, and if you don't do, then you're ashamed. I would fucking disown my father before you could even say tomorrow. I don't want anybody in my life to tell me how to live. And that's the problem. I mean, that's that generational, his father was the same way to him. I would never allow anyone as an adult to speak to me like that. As far as keeping them in my life, I wouldn't try to hurt them. But I would never want a friend like that in my life. And that's why I cut my father off. He was very similar to that. If you're doing things positive, and what I'm talking about now, you're legally abiding and you're doing the right thing, fuck if people don't like it because it's not normal. Fuck them. They're miserable. And this is all about the, treating life with the right mindset. And I am getting to cut out unhealthy relationships. I always got to make that as part of my message. Family members, friends, lovers, anyone. If they can't understand and respect you, cut them off. But I don't want to get sidetracked on that tonight. I wanted to speak specifically on, dealing with law enforcement. I want to speak on create the proper environment, be respectful. And if you're not, just like I saw with my sister, just like I saw with different friends, you're just going to make your life harder. And certainly sometimes I got tickets, I feel shame, but I just dealt with it. And sometimes I went to court and I just talked to the prosecutor, and sometimes they give you a fine, they take away the points if you have points. It is what it is. We all have to deal with some shit in life. And, but we have to be honest, where you're going over the speed limit, where you're doing something, and that's it. Sometimes none of us are perfect, but, don't make your life harder by fighting with the cop, by fighting with the prosecutor. What are you trying to prove? And some people are. Some people are trying to prove something to everybody. And they hurt at their own detriment. If you need to escalate, then there's a way and a mindset and an attitude in which to do it. And why do I say that? Only for your own well-being. And if you can't get that, then we're on different pages. Because this is not just this is only so you can live well. You want to live well. You want to live positive. You don't want to be in a bad place. Not worth it. Let me go back to some comments. That's my main thing that was on my spirit. Dolores from New Hampshire. Dolores, hello to you. May West, Sam is here. Court's in session. Thank you, May. May from Brooklyn. Good to see you, May. Gloria, how are you? Gloria from Ohio by Lake Erie, I believe it is. Hey, Sam, I'm keeping warm. Good, because I know it's cold. I'm getting close to going up north with you, but I hear you. Gloria, good to see you. Starpack, brother of wisdom. First time being here at the beginning of the stream. Do you have a certain schedule, or is it whenever? I used to have a certain schedule, but what I found is I need to be a little bit flexible. So I've gone live at different times, and I always leave that open. But overall, I try to go live in the evenings, somewhere between 6 to 8 p.m. But I have to leave flexibility. I don't want to do a schedule because that messes up my creative flow and my lack of flexibility in life. But I would say on average, I try to go live daily between 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, sometime in that range. And then I let it flow to, whenever I feel inspired to stop or whatever it may be. I just started my car just so my battery doesn't die. So good question, Starpack. That's the answer. Thank you, brother. Good to see you again. Yeah, some good comments last night. Joe Humphreys, new subscriber. What's up, brother? How do you spend your days? What do you do for a job that fits your nomadic lifestyle? Good questions. Well, one is right now I'm currently on vacation. I'm headed back up north because I do have to go back to my job. I have a full-time job as an electrical engineer in the IT industry. I'm hoping that eventually, because I am in the technology industry, that I have some level of flexibility to work remotely, but there's certain days I have to be on site. So I've been off for the past few weeks as far as just on vacation. But when I go back, I have to be on site for a couple days, and then I'm able to do some work remotely. But I have to be in that New York area. But eventually, my goal, as long as I can do it responsibly, I love the company I work for, I love the people I work with, so I don't want to just abandon that. My goal would be, and there are jobs in my field, just not, ones right now that are fit, but to work totally remotely in the IT industry. I can do a lot of engineering things remotely. I started my career as an electrician, and then I have my own electrical contracting business, and now I'm in the engineering space for IT industry. So that's to answer your question. When I'm off, what do? I wake up whether I go to work or whether I'm off work, every day I wake up by 5 a.m., 6 a.m. max, and I go to the gym, take a shower, and then I start my day. After I go to the gym, take a shower, I go to Starbucks, then I answer some emails, I do some things I need to do remotely for work, and then I go for a walk, usually somewhere between 8 to 9 a.m., anywhere from there till 11. A couple hour walk. I listen to my music. And then around 11, then what I try to do is, if I'm not on site working, then I try to explore a little bit. Even if I'm in my own state or area, I try to just go around to different areas and look at different things, explore. And then at noon, I have lunch. And then after that, it could be more work, it could be more walking. It could be, obviously like everyone else, I have errands that sometimes I have to go to laundromat, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes I spend quality time with my mother. She's still alive. Sometimes I do research, I read, I look online, sometimes I just watch fun stuff on YouTube. And then at the end of the day, same thing. I eat dinner, I try to go live, I do videos throughout the course of the day. That's also filled in some of my creative time, because I believe in being healthy and productive and keeping my time occupied with positive, productive things. I'm not one of those nomads. I didn't start being a nomad so I can sit around in the back of my car and roll around on free land. I am not doing this solely to live cheap. That's one of my first videos I made. I'm doing this because, for me, as a single person who doesn't want a family, I don't like the conforming lifestyle of being anchored down to a house. I own my own condo for 15 years. I like the freedom and flexibility of living mobile, and I like the creative extra time I have to do videos, to share my life. Even before I did YouTube, when I had my own nonprofit organization, I had a radio show in New Jersey that I did for a couple years. I had a youth ministry, I had an outreach program for the poor. So I was always involved. This is just another avenue for me to express my creativity and share my life. So just as I get, this more fits the season of life I'm in now, and we'll see how that evolves. But that gives you an overall answer. I know it may be a little bit long-winded, but that's I wanted to share exactly where I'm at. Good question. Milano, hey Sammy, that's my guy Milano from Miami. We were talking a little bit. I heard, good to see you, Milano. I just say that, good to see you. Milano, you have to be careful in how you express yourself. Be yourself. That's right. Just be yourself. Don't try to be. I remember one time, he's talking about now dealing with the cops. That's just structured topic, but we could talk about anything. Politics, sex, religion, doesn't matter to me. But I remember, I've been pulled over and I've dealt with the cops through different reasons for several times throughout the course of my life. One time I remember getting pulled over and I was just shaking. My hand, like the cop pulled me over, as a female cop, and I was shaking. And she said, "Why are you nervous?" And she got nervous. I said, "I'm just nervous. I'm just honest. I'm just nervous or whatever. And so, sometimes we're just nervous. And I didn't try to lie. I said, "Look, I'm just nervous being pulled over. Just be honest." Same thing when you go on a job interview. Just be honest. And if you're nervous, you just say you're nervous. At least people understand that, rather than you just trying to say, "No, nothing wrong, and you're shaking." Just say you're nervous. I know it's hard to express yourself when you're in the heat of the moment and your emotions are running, but that's why I'm planting the seed of helpful things to do in real life circumstances. I don't just talk about living my car. I talk about everything that I've experienced in life and that I want to go forward in life with. And one thing is, no one likes to get pulled over or deal with law enforcement, but you have to understand that, one, these are just regular citizens doing their job. You're going to have some good and some bad, just like everything in life. You want to put all your interior lights on if you're ever pulled over. You want to be respectful, you want to be calm, and you want to be honest. And, it is what it is. Now, I know there's a different mindset where I've been to when you're younger. When you're younger, you just like everything in life, you deal with things more immaturely. But at least this is seed planted for something good in life. And that's what I'm about. So I agree with that, Milano. Sailing John from New Jersey. Sailing John lives full-time on his boat in New Jersey. He just made a new video today, episode 5. I really enjoyed it. I recommend going to Sailing John's YouTube channel, subscribe, support him if you want, and watch his videos. I believe if I am doing my job, I am inspiring other people to go out there and to live their dream and to be creative. I am not one of those people that I want you to subscribe to me and follow me your entire life. I want to spark something inside you that says you can do it, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be living out of a car, whatever. It could be anything. I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to stay positive. I want you to use your creativity as a doorway into your dream. I'm not one of those people, I'm not a pastor sitting here telling you, you need me and this is what I want from you and give me a donation. No. What I'm saying is you don't need to give me 10% to get ordained as a pastor. What you need to do is do the work of your life, believe in yourself. If you fall, you get up and you push forward. Real leaders create more leaders, not followers. Never forget it. Good job, John, on that video. Joe Humphreys, how do you develop said good personality? Any tips? Well, 1 is trial and error. 2 is keep positive people in your life. I cut out any unhealthy relationship, especially as I get further along in my journey. I cut off my father. I cut off friends. I cut off people that even if I sense a little bit of a sideways comment, I just cut them off. I don't hurt them. I don't try to expose them. But I have to go forward. And I think the best way to develop your personality is to keep other people that are not perfect, because everyone will let you down, but are positive. Next is you have to take care of your physical well-being. You have to eat well. You have to walk. You have to listen to music. And you have to stay engaged in your creativity. So shit can unhealthy relationships. Get yourself on a plant-based diet. Go walking every day. Listen to your music, whatever it is. I don't care if it's death metal. Listen to it. Listen to your music that sparks your creativity. And I believe if you do those general principles, you're going to find your inspiration. You're going to find your right personality. Your personality doesn't have to be like mine. It doesn't have to be like anyone's in this world. But if it has an overall positive forward momentum personality that's respectful to others, but also respect yourself enough to have boundaries. Like, you know what I mean? Don't let people abuse your kindness. Because when you let people abuse your kindness, then they take advantage. But obviously, when you're talking about when you're dealing with law enforcement, you're not trying to prove a point that don't abuse me. You're trying to document and escalate if, God forbid, you had a problem with law enforcement. But in general rule of life, how do you develop your personality? Through all those things. And just like anything else, if you fall, you get back up. Because we all fall, we all fail. But the wise and those who are successful, they persevere by the grace of God too. I do believe in a spiritual life. I believe in mind, body, soul. So my spirituality is based on the belief in God. I believe in Jesus Christ, but I also show respect to any other faith, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Jewish, whether it's Muslim, whether it's atheist. I don't try to dominate anyone, and I don't believe in the same thing as every other Christians. I interpret some part of the scriptures differently, and I realize that some scriptures aren't there. There's some women's perspective that was never written on the written word, because at that time in society when the Bible was written, women weren't even taught to read and write. So you don't have the full picture. For the full picture, you need to tap into the Holy Spirit, which is the God inside you that will show you the spirit of truth. And so I believe in the soul. However you want to work on your soul, whatever faith you want to label it, I don't give a shit about any of that. But as long as you're not harming anyone, and as long as your spirituality is helping you to be a better person, then I believe that's part of the equation for the mind, body, and soul doing things that we can control and living the best quality life. Hey Maria, hey, how are you? And Maria says, hey, hello to you, sweetheart. Milano, do not say something stupid. Yeah, don't say something stupid. I agree with that. Yeah, when you're pulled over or when you're dealing with law, just don't say something stupid. Keep your words to a minimum. Answer them. Don't be short. Don't try to, not speak. It's just like everything else. Just be pleasant. Because why? Because it just makes your life more pleasant. You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to win a battle of trying to outdo someone. In that type of environment, you have to be wise. And like I say, you document if you feel something's disrespectful or whatever. You have your GoPro running, have a camera. You can order, I may see it, infomercials like $20. You can order a camera to mount on top of your dash and it records everything. You can have a rear view camera. If you want to, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think body cameras should be introduced to all police officers. And that should be a mandated law. The reason why the guy from the NFL took a knee was all based around police brutality and feeling that the police were abusing certain things. And that's fine with me. Let's not get into a big debate if one is the guy has the constitutional right to take the knee. So I want to be clear about that, and I'll stand up for that. That's the right to express. Two is, I may not like him personally, but he still has that right. And two is, let's address the issue. The issue is put a body camera on every cop. Period. And the public, because these are publicly paid employees, that's what cops are. You pay their salary with your taxes. We should be able, as the public, we should be able to view those recorded images on body cameras at any request given by a citizen. And so that eliminates any type of wrongdoing. And that's where technology makes society better. But instead of us addressing that and having that solution, we get into a debate versus Trump versus the NFL. And then the whole society just goes backwards for 2 years. It's bullshit. Put a body camera on every cop. The public who pays the cop's salary should be able to view it. And there's a lot of great cops, so it's not against cops. And that's it. Solves the problem. If you have abuse of power, then you have the documentation. And then you address it in a court of law. And then, you go from there. That's it. No Man's Land. Hello, everyone. No Man's Land. NYC in the building. How you doing, No Man's Land? Love and respect to you, brother. May West. I believe that's going to become the new trend. Car living nomadic can't wait to join the realm. Well, I talked a little bit about that last night. Now, I do believe the future of society will be based on efficiency. Efficiency and flexibility. Now, I want to be honest. I still think it'll be a smaller percentage of society in our lifetime. I'm 37. I mean, in 30 years, nobody knows the future, but I still don't think you're going to have a huge amount of the population living mobile. I think you're going to have a lot more. But let's be honest. Right now, people living out of their car, van, or RV, full-time, I think it's probably 1% of society or less. You have in the United States of America, you have approximately 320 to 340 million people. So, let's just say you have 300 million citizens in America. 10% of that is what, 30 million. So then 10% of that is what, 3 million? So you think you have 3 million people living out of their car, van, or RV? I don't think so. So you got 1% or less. Now, the only reason it seems like a lot is because, you're connected to the nomad community. So whatever you're connected to, it seems like you see a lot of. But I do believe as technology is more integrated with society, mobility and flexibility, along with efficiency, will be a driving force in how we live. It will change the norm. Now, whether everyone's living in a car or not, I don't think, it'll ever get to a certain point too. I mean, I don't know, but I still think, bottom line, be as efficient as possible and always give yourself as much flexibility with the underlying principle of living below your means. Because again, if you had a family and if you were raising kids, you wouldn't want to live in a car. And most people want a family and kids. So, again, I have to be responsible that. Now, if you're single, if you don't want that, or if you're just, a little bit different and you find somebody and you agree to live I know some people that live full-time in an RV, they have a family and the wife homeschools and that's how they do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's all legal. Now, that's the whole thing. It's like, you're not doing anything against the law. It's just that you have to obey the laws. But like I say, it's a mindset. Because I know people who live in apartments and houses that they're contentious people and they get in trouble with the law even though they live in a house. So that's what the one guy left a comment on my video. He doesn't realize that, how many people I know that have a house that get in trouble with the law? They're drunk driving, they're doing this, they're doing that. It doesn't matter where you live. It matters your mindset and how you treat your life. You understand what I'm saying? But an old, rigid, stubborn mind can never understand that. And that's why you don't try. Certain people you don't even try to debate. You just cut them off because they're determined to be miserable. There is a certain percentage of society that will never change, evolve, and grow. They're going to die miserable. And, you just have to rebuke them when you can, help them if you, but that's it. You got to let them be. They're burning. There's going to be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. I mean, I got a whole block thing. They're just weeping up there. I agree. Dolores, the number 6, and then she puts an asterisk, staying under electric blanket. Oh, okay, so it's 6 degrees. Dolores is in New Hampshire. She's under an electric blanket. Brrr. -9 with wind chill. Whew. Cold weather just cuts through your body. It's not for me. And and studies show it, when there is lack of sunshine and when you are not outdoors as much, it affects your mental well-being. And that's why I do say that, long term, my goal is to be more remote so I can, be in Florida or be in a warm climate during the winter. Because I know my mind is negatively affected along with your body. It's proven science that when you don't get outdoors a lot, when you don't see the sun, and when it's very cold, your body is not in the right environment. And your body starts to shut down to a certain level. And so, not to get negative, I got to go back up north. It is what it is. It's all part of life. But at the same time, let me bring that back and balance that statement. Same time, most people live in a heated room, and most people live in a heated room. Most people have, modern amenities, and people have been doing it since the beginning of time. So it's not the end of the world either. It's just winter. 37. This is my, I spent one winter living in my car. The other 36 I spent living in a house. So that's just an alarm going off on my iPad. But, it's just winter. It's not the end of the world. It's just winter. But when you don't see the sun and it's very cold, you feel like it's the end of the world. It does, mentally. And when you're in Florida, it just feels like paradise. It does. It's beautiful. I'm about to take the sweater off now. I'm hot. Hey, Maria. Wow, Sam, you are very full of life. Lots of chapters. And the journey isn't finished. Amen, Amareya. Thank you for your comment and for your love. I was thinking about you today, too. I appreciate that. Why? One is, God's grace. I believe it's a gift. That's why I try to share my gift as much as possible. Two is I've learned to take care of myself well. I didn't always take care of myself. I let myself go for a while. I was watching an interview today on YouTube with Dave Chappelle when he had got a big contract and then he gave the money back and he went overseas to get his mind right. And he said when he had got the big contract, his father had just passed and he wasn't taking care of himself. He was smoking a lot of weed. He was fucking with the wrong people. He didn't have the right friends around him. He was smoking weed, and all the money was just making things worse, not better. And what he was saying is, how I perceived that interview was, when you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to handle life. You have to take care of yourself, mind, body, soul, not just financially, every way. Because you want to live well. You don't want to have to, because when you get hurt like that, that's what he did. You have to go hide and heal. I've been hurt before in life. And when you get hurt, you hide and you heal. And it's the less time that you get to share your gift. It's less time that you get to live an inspired life. I've lived an uninspired life. It's not exciting. It's like death every day. You can be alive and still feel death. It's very true. And the reason you're here, that we're all temporarily in this world. These bodies are just shells. If you don't believe me, then go look at a graveyard. Okay, no one stays here forever. No one. I don't care who you are. No one stays here forever. I don't care what faith you believe. I don't care if you don't believe in anything. Everyone in this world passes. Okay? So what you have to do is you have to live with a spirit of urgency. Take care of yourself well, so that when you take care of yourself well, you have overflow. You have extra energy, you have extra creativity, you have extra structure, and then that blesses other people. It overflows onto them. It inspires them. John starts making videos. He goes viral. You know what I mean? May's doing her thing in Brooklyn. No Man's Land's in the building. And Gloria's healing, from her child thing. That's how you go forward. You don't go forward having the wrong relationships, whether it's with your family member, friends, or lover. You don't go forward eating the wrong things. You don't go forward not listening to music. You don't go forward replaying conversations from someone who talked at you sideways in a laundromat. You don't go forward by being negative to the cops. You go forward by taking care of yourself well and surrounding yourself with other people that want to do the same. Everyone else has to see the block icon, period. You have to go forward in this life for the time that God has given you. Because let me be clear, the time has an expiration date for all of us in this world, myself included. Very important. Milano, my guy from Miami. And you watch all the Bob Wells videos, laugh out loud. I don't watch all of them. I barely watch Bob Wells. I unsubscribed him a while ago. But I watched his latest one when he was talking about now that they're cracking down. He just left Florida. Bob Wells was in Florida. He just left like a couple days ago. He left like right after Christmas. So I don't know if you knew that, Milano. His latest video, he said that because his mom lives in Florida. And his mom's older and she's sick, so he came to look after her. And when he came to look after her, he didn't look like he was happy about it. But he doesn't like Florida, Bob Wells. So he's heading back. He's leaving now, Florida, the best time of the year. And he's headed to Quartzsite. It's like 40 degrees in Quartzsite today, Arizona. And he's headed over there to do the RTR, his annual thing in Arizona. And God bless him, whatever. But he was just saying that they're starting to crack down now. They don't let people stay indefinitely. And so they only let them stay the legal time, which is 14 days straight. And that's when I stay at campgrounds. You're allowed to stay, for most of them, for 14 days straight. Then you got to keep it moving. So same thing, like you don't fight the law. They have every right to enforce that. And, be respectful to that. That way you don't abuse it, and then you can reuse it after you leave and go to a different campground. That's what I mean. But there's some people that were making videos about, like, oh, who are these guys now to enforce the law? They never enforced it before. Well, what is it? You're already living for 14 days for free. Get your ass up, start your car, go to the next campsite, and be respectful. That's what I mean. And that's what happens. It's like people don't respect basic principles of life, and they cause problems with the law. And that's an unhealthy mind. There's nothing to do whether you're a nomad or not. It's an unhealthy mind. Next comment is from Joe Humphreys. How does sex relationships work as a nomad? Well, one is I started living as a nomad last year when I was 36. Now I'm 37. And I'm at the point in my life where I know I don't want a relationship. I don't even want to date. So all I do for my sexual desires is I masturbate. I'm totally honest with you. I don't lie. What am I going to lie? I know pastors that used to talk about that and they still masturbate and commit adultery. So I'm just being honest with you. I watch porn, I masturbate. That gets the lust out of my system. I've tried to do just frivolous sex and frivolous relationships. They all lead to a disaster. I don't want that. I don't want that extra burden. I'm very rare. I don't even like, I know a lot of people in Florida. Some I grew up with, some like I met, and a lot of people have asked me, and I'm very thankful for them. Some friends, some people I've known in an intimate manner, and some just, people I've met on YouTube. People ask me like to come through, like whether it's just to hang out or whatever. I don't like to do it because I'm a loner. That's how I like to be. This fulfills my connection basis and my lust basis. I'll just watch porn. Because why? For me, a relationship is inefficient. I got to spend 90% of my time making someone happy, and sexual part is only 10%. And then as you get older, that sexual part is less and less. So the sex part of life is a very low return on your investment. So you might as well masturbate. You get the net same as result. The second part is I don't want a family. I don't want the trappings of a relationship. Am I against relationships? No. Am I against women? No. Thank God for a woman's perspective. Thank God I've dated certain women. They show me a beautiful part of life. But what I'm trying to tell you is I'm just expressing my views on it. You have to decide for yourself. Do you want a relationship? Do you want to be married? Do you want, you can certainly date and still live in your car, but it's going to be harder to find someone that's compatible with you. Because eventually, if that person wants to live not many people want to live in a car, van, or RV. So that better be a core common interest. And then when you have kids, everything changes regardless. I can't lie to you. So that's just my view. Everyone has their own view, but that's how I take it, brother. Good question. It's Miss Kimberly's in the house. Hand up emoji. We love Miss Kimberly. Houston, Texas in the house. Star Pack's next. I will check your channel after the live stream, Sailing John. Amen. Sailing John, that actually stands for Sailing Diane. It's just a different dialect that John is. He told me that. And Sailing John's, not to share too much, but his wife passed last year, and that brother's moving forward. He went through a tough time. He healed. He's moving forward. He's being creative, and that just like she would want, just like God wants. Even though I've dealt with loss in life, it's very painful. It takes a long time to heal. But you got to go forward. You got to go forward. You got to turn the page. And you got to use your gifts while God still has you here. And then, in the next world, we see the Lord and we see the loved ones. And that's it. That's how I feel about it. So, amen. Support one another. If people are positive support, there's enough love to go around for everyone. You know what I mean? And like I said, if you're truly someone who is not just leading people on for your own personal manipulation, you want to see other people get whatever they can from you and then go fly their own way. You don't want to have people on the hook for you so they follow you around and just to give you a hand clap. I want to be the type of person that inspires people to go out there, spread their wings, and live their life. Look, I hope that we stay connected, but I hope more than anything else that you become you and that you live your dream. And even if that means, one less person, that's what it's about. It's not a, pander game. So I'm very proud of John. I'm proud of everyone out there that go out there and make their mark. Pack Live in the building. Pack Live. From the West Coast, Pack Live made up grip in the Bitcoin game. And he's got the sunglasses emojis. We love Pack Live. He's a great man. Good to see you, Pack Live. Joe Humphreys. what age did you get to the stage where you had this personality? Well, God has always blessed me with a somewhat unique personality. I've always kind of like, you know what I mean, stood out a little bit as far as always been respectful. I've always been positive overall. But I've always felt like speak up if I see injustice, speak up if I see something different. I remember, sometimes I saw like injustice, like, playing sports, and the coach would play politics with certain kids that were sitting the bench. And I remember one time, this just comes to my mind when you ask that question. I remember being in high school, and I was one of the players that I got a lot of playing time. And I remember going, and then like, there was like one game at the end of the season that didn't mean anything, and the whole purpose was like we were finally going to give the kids that never got any playing time, they were going to allowed to go on the court. And so for some reason, the coach decided, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to let like the star players play. And like, I was like, what the fuck are we going to do that for? I was like, these kids, they bust their ass in practice every day. And their fucking families come to watch them play. This fucking game means nothing. Let these kids get out there and play. And I said it, I was scared to say it. And the fucking guy, like, it was almost a problem. Like coach almost wanted to fight me. But I thank God that the Lord gave me that boldness, because I knew I was right. And even though everyone else was scared to speak up, I'm giving you one small example out of my life. Even though and I'm only giving it just to share inspiration, I'm not giving it for any other reason. And even though everyone else was scared to speak up, after I spoke up, everyone came to me afterwards and said, Sam, thank God we didn't have the courage to say, thank God, thank you for standing up. And then that planted the seed. What I learned every time in life where you have to be yourself and speak up if you see some type of injustice, and again, it could be a various form of injustice, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, is that what you will find is you give other people the strength and the inspiration to be themselves. Because everyone else wants to speak up, but they have a mortgage and 2 kids. They can't speak up in the corporate world because they're not necessarily sold their soul, but they can't miss one paycheck. And so, when you're living free, and when you have a free mind and you have a healthy mind, and you're able to speak up to certain issues, you set the captives free. Because there's a lot of people in bondage that, whether it's because they're in financial bondage, whether it's because they're insecure, whether it's because whatever reason they don't have the verbal capability to communicate, that you have to, sometimes intercede on the behalf of others. Not to the point where not to the point where you don't take care of yourself, but I'm just trying to share to answer that question. I hope it helped. Sailing John, thanks Sam, exclamation mark. I enjoyed yours today too. Thank you, brother. You had to show me that sailboat out there. I had a bunch of other ones. Thank you. Laugh out loud. Loved it. Amen. Amen. John's going to be down in Florida next year. I think he already made reservations. Sailing John. Thanks, St. James. Subscribe. Trying to get to 100. Try to get John to 100. If you get to 100, you can go live. Just be mindful. Anyone out there who starts a YouTube channel, I want to share with you 2 things. Well, more than 2, but let me just share with you 2 now. One is, never base your videos on trying to get views or subscriptions. Don't be one of those people that do clickbait. Don't be one of those people who make videos because you think this person or that person's going to like it. Always remember to be yourself and be willing to see your subscription count go down. Sometimes my subscription count goes down. Overall it's trended up, but I am totally comfortable that if my thing goes down to 0, I'm at peace. And that's how you have to do it. And that's why I say too, don't bank on any type of income or anything, because if you do, you're going to sell your soul for your content. And then you're going to have to go get a cat, and you're going to have to make him meow, and that's the only way the Panda Express keeps going. The only way that your creativity works is that if you don't sell your soul to it. You don't put a price tag on your creativity. And that's what Dave Chappelle was talking about in that interview. He had begun to put a price on his comedic genius. And he felt like he gave his soul to a high price, and then he couldn't make the type of material he wanted to, because after he took a huge contract, that corporation says, look, this is the type of comedy we want you to do. And that's why he said he didn't go through with the contract. Now again, you have to do certain things in life. I'm not trying to say be extreme, but what I'm trying to say is be mindful of these things, especially in your creative space. You live below your means for a reason, so that you have freedom to be yourself. When you live at or above your means, it's going to be harder. Not to say you can't do it. I've done it, but it's going to be harder to be yourself. Because you got to put up a tap dance show. Because the whole domino can fall. And I've seen it happen. I've seen people do unsafe, unethical things for the love of money. I'm not against money. I like money. But you know what I'm saying? There's a difference between that and being greedy. And if you don't believe greed exists, you just look around to today's society. You think people are happy being millionaires, they want to be multimillionaires. You think people are happy being multimillionaires, they want to be billionaires, and then they want to control the legislation. I mean, that's how this world works. Be careful. Milano, do not try to be funny and irritate that officer. That's right, back to the structured topic. And I want to apply that to anything in life. Like, I mean, I've been certain street instances. Like, I don't try to prove I'm tougher than anyone. I don't try to irritate people that I see that are already unstable just to prove I'm a tough guy. Like, you have to move with wisdom in life. You know, sometimes people watch the movie Braveheart and they think they're going to fucking go on this spree where they're going to like go out there with one axe and fucking save the entire society. That's a movie, B. Okay? And did you see the real life guy, Mel Gibson? Disaster. That guy's an alcoholic and, you know what I mean, he's got like racial slurs on different things. Mel Gibson, who played Braveheart, he was playing an actor, B. His real life, not that truth. Okay? And that's what you'll see in life, that sometimes people think they're Superman. I mean, you understand what I'm saying. You shouldn't try to irritate anyone in life. If it gets to that point, you just walk away. Or you cut people off. Because if you have a contentious relationship, that's God saying you're in the wrong relationship. And if you're pulled over, you can't control that. But at that time, you just keep it peaceful, you document, and then you do whatever you'd have to do in a court of law. Through your GoPro camera or whatever. But you don't try to irritate anyone. You just make the situation worse for yourself. And I see many people do that. Why do many people do that? Pride. Pride and an unhealthy mind. In my experience, in my opinion. M. West, just subscribe. M. West, promoting it out there. Amareya, Sailing John, just sub. See that? Praise the Lord. I like positivity. That's all love, man. We'll be sure to watch. Amen. Support that. Love and respect. Sailing John, Sam, my option is there are the same amount or more people living on boats than in cars in Florida. I definitely agree with that. You know how many boats are? I mean, it's a whole different lifestyle in Florida versus the New York, New Jersey area. I mean, night and day, John. Night and day. So, I'm telling you, you come down here, John, and you're in a different season of your life where you might as well just stay down here, brother. Now, you may want to sail back up in the summer with hurricanes and stuff, but let me tell you something. The lifestyle down here is 100% different, especially the further south you go in Florida. You want to get, you want to get below Central Florida. I mean, it's a whole different lifestyle, brother. You're going to love it, man. And I think, too, your channel, keep labeling your videos, unless you do a different type of video, that you're living in a boat. Just like, put whatever the subject is, but that you're living in a boat. Because a lot of people want to do that. I know somebody I work with, they have a boat, they don't live on. A lot of people want to do that. And even like for me, like if they'll never live in a boat or they'll never live in a car, there's still something there that can inspire them and that can change their life to make them a better them. And so that's why you have to share your voice. Now, the problem is in the beginning, you just get local people and they all support you. As you grow, you're going to get negativity. You have to block any negativity. Because you don't want to hurt your self-confidence and creativity. And you're never going to make certain people happy. The second thing is, with any YouTube channel or anything in life, whether it's going to the gym or whatever, you have to be consistent. You have to consistently do videos. You have to consistently go to the gym. You have to consistently eat right. You can't eat good 3 days a week and then go eat Chick-fil-A 1 day a week and think you're not going to make any traction. Life is all about consistency. Now, there's grace because we all fail. And some days you may not want to do a video, but what I'm trying to tell you is, and some days I can't when I'm working a lot, but consistency. Even with this live stream, really the blessing is when it's consistent, it grows. And that's anything in life. I want to share that principle so that you use that in everything. With your eating, with your relationships, everything is about consistency as far as making something grow to a better place. Sailing John says, thanks, Amareya, for the sub. May West, I've been pulled over thousands of times, even in the racist South, and the cops let me go. Just be nice, and I was doing 99 miles per hour. Amen. Amen. I agree with that. So, that's the thing. Like I said, too, and if you really feel, I wouldn't be against, have a GoPro and, invest, or just a regular dash camera. And you don't say anything about it, you don't shove it in anybody's face, but you just hit record, just as a protection. And, no one ever knows that's on or whatever. And the bottom line is, like I said, yeah, in life, she's 100% right. That's what I've experienced too. And I've seen people that just are assholes just to be assholes. I'm talking about people in my own family. White people just be assholes to the cops to be an asshole, and they get themselves in trouble. Okay? So there's a racist element always to it because there's still a legacy here, but we're getting better because, too, I mean, when in the New York area, there's a lot of diversity in a different field now. But as you get south, it's less only because culture is still changing. Again, that goes all the way back to the Civil War, goes all the way back. That's why you still see contention with the Confederate flag when the South was united against the North and before we were the United States. And that still has to be addressed. I mean, but it takes a long-ass time for culture to change. Why? Because people, even now that necessarily aren't brought up like on a racist tip, when you're brought up in a family, they just hand that flag, that symbolism down generation to generation. Just like if you eat shit, if your mom is obese, she's going to hand down to you bad eating habits. And so, like, when you've been brought up to know the Confederate flag, like, you identify with that. And that's the problem. Like, people are willing. Same thing with voting. Same thing in a video I made today. People just automatically inherit the things that are handed down to them without thinking for themselves. Just because your parents taught you something, and just because, whatever, doesn't mean you accept that as truth. Same thing with your religion. Same thing with anything. You have to think for yourself, because as an adult, you're accountable for yourself. And you have to say, look, I disagree with this flag, or I disagree with this. I want to build my own life. The next generation shapes society. Thank God that society got to the point where women started to stand up. Why? Because, like I said, when the Bible was written, women weren't even taught how to read or write. And certainly same thing in this country when, with racism. There was a certain part of this period where minorities weren't allowed. It was against the law to read and write. So same thing with women. So this applies across various spectrums of society. That there's a legacy there, but what's the hopeful part is it's changed, and it will continue to change. Women, like I say, 70 years ago, women weren't even allowed really in the workforce. They weren't allowed to vote at a certain point. So where are we at now? I mean, we just had a black president for 8 years. We just had a woman she won the popular vote. She lost the electoral vote. So, but does that mean that everything's right? No. But what it means is it's a hopeful thing that when people stand up, change happens. So don't get disillusioned by people who want to feed you a negative mind that, it's not worth it because nothing changes. That's bullshit. Now, to be fair, sometimes things change slow, and sometimes things don't change enough. But don't get to a hopeless thing where you think things don't change, because that's also the beautiful part of our country. If you look at our couple-year history, look how far we've come. Let's keep going further. And to ensure, all rights for gay people, for everybody. I mean, there should be equality, and we've gotten a lot better there too. So my hope is that that this generation, the next generation, and even the older generation that believes in the open mindset, that we grow society to a healthier place, and you address it without avoiding the issue, but with respect and directness. And so I agree with that. That's all part of the conversation of society. Mae West. Interesting topic. As a black person, it's Miss Kimberly speaking. As a black person, I'm just going to listen for a bit. I might stir the pot. No, I mean, there's different perspectives, because there is a legacy of racism. I was just talking now. I know I'm back in the comments, so there may have been more. But no, and a period of my life, I grew up around all minorities, and mainly all black and Puerto Rican. So I saw that, but I've also saw, society's always been skewed to that, but I've seen it on all sides, But no, there's that perspective. There's that perspective. And even like when I was coming up in the 90s, with Rodney King and all that, it was 100% worse than it is now. So it's gotten better, but there is a legacy there. And, minorities, whether it's black, whether it's Spanish, whether it's whatever, there's a different feeling than the white perspective. And so on and so on. But I will say now, especially in the New York, New Jersey area, I mean, I've seen probably more black and female officers than white in certain areas. So there now is more and more equality. I think the problem now necessarily isn't on the front line with regards to police officers, because I see a lot now. In the South there may be less, but even down here I've seen quite a bit of minority and women. But what I will say is the biggest problem still lies within the judicial system when it comes to having when you're dealing with different juries, when you're dealing with judges. But too, sometimes there's just assholes in every race too. So that's the thing, is sometimes it's tough to make general statements, but there are different perspectives because there's different life experiences, and not all of us share those same ones. So it's Miss Kimberly. No, I mean, you have to share your voice, you have to share your experience. But I do think no matter what walk of life, I believe the general principle is when you get pulled over and when you get stopped by law for it, you don't cause a problem. Like I say, my sister, a white Italian American, I saw her cause a fucking scene and get everyone in trouble and get herself in trouble. It was because of her own badass attitude. So I don't care if you're white, black, yellow. If you have a badass attitude, I don't care who you are. You're gonna go to jail. You're gonna get a ticket. And I've seen it happen. So that's the principle I'm sharing. I will address, and I'll let other people address that society issue. You guys know me by now. I don't dodge issues. But I'm speaking to an overall mindset of civility, and that you create an environment, even if you feel you're unjust, by putting the lights on, keeping your hands up, and if you want to document, get a GoPro, and that's it. And at the end, but I've seen some people, like, they have cameras, and they're egging the cops on. Like, oh yeah. You know, it's like, you know, they're trying to, like, make the cop do something crazy. Like, that's crazy. That's just stupid. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's just not wise, in my opinion. I mean, that's my perspective on it. JPM Lawn Care. I feel the same way, Sam, minus the porn. Oh, amen. I understand that too. Now, but you say that, JPM, but I guarantee you, well, I don't guarantee you, but women that minus, they don't like porn, in my experience. I'll let you speak from a woman's perspective. Women don't watch porn, but women watch subtle porn. Meaning, they'll watch like a romantic movie that it gets sexual, but they don't show like too graphic. You understand what I'm saying? The 50 Shades of Grey was a little bit too graphic, but it was very close. A lot of women like that, even though it was very demonic in how he treated her. But they'll watch the Hallmark Channel or a Lifetime. You know, some women love watching a Lifetime channel, and they love watching like things about being a duck. There was one girl here, I mean, Sarah loves that. But like, you know, almost like serial watching, like rape things. I mean, so not all women, most women don't watch porn in my experience, but what they do watch is either like heavy romantic comedies that are very close to borderline porn. And so, you know, there's a different way that women do it. They kind of like mind masturbate it. So they may not be masturbating maybe with toys, and some do, but they may be masturbating with their mind. And they may be thinking, you know what? This guy can come over here and fix my refrigerator, and I'm going to watch a movie about a handyman in a notebook, and like they mind masturbate. So it's just, in my experience, I'm growing up with all women. I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not saying it applies to everybody. Well, it's a different way that they masturbate. You know what I mean? As far as in their mind. All sexual things too. Like sex occurs in the mind. Like the physical part of it is the expression. But the best sex you ever have is like, you know, when you really like, you get into it mentally and the other person's in that same zone. And then, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, like you'll have a bad sexual experience when you have someone else who's like, not into it and you're into it. I mean, it's horrible. It's like you would be better off watching porn. So, I mean, again, I'm speaking directly to issues that I've seen in my life, but that's just my opinion. And it's Miss Kimberly said pandering. Panda, that's right. Hit him with the panda. Panda emoji she gave me. Sound John. Great advice, Sam. Yes, I do it from my heart. Now he's talking about YouTube. To share. Yes, maybe to inspire someone else. Yeah, do it for that. And you can do it too to grow your channel. You can do it too to hopefully, you know, make money. Now, I don't believe in the donation part, but if you grow your channel big enough, whatever, there's nothing wrong with all that. As long as there's nothing wrong with money, there's nothing wrong with doing, but the core, the essence has to be uniquely you. So that's the whole thing. Like, I'm against the donation things on because I see it's a panda show. It's not really, you could see it's not, at least for me, it's not for me. Period. I'll just say it like that. I don't want to speak for everyone. Star Pack, true that. Don't listen to negativity unless it is a form of constructive criticism. Yeah, I agree with that. Benny, have you been asked by a cop why you were living in a car? No. I've never have. You know, like I say, it's legal. So, I mean, nobody really asks you that. I mean, because like I say, I don't, like if you saw me and like you saw my car, like, I mean, now it's a nighttime. It doesn't look like I live out of my car. Like some people, you see them on the street, it looks like they live out of a car. Like I carry myself like you would never know the difference. I made a video about that. People shouldn't know you live out of a car. Now, obviously, if they stop you and they search your car, I mean, you know, you could just say you're camping. I mean, you could say whatever. You don't have to say, you know, unless, you know, whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, I go in corporate settings. No one, no one knows if you're living in a car or not. I mean, but if you have the mindset of you're a hobo and you're just laying around, then everyone, it's again, it goes back to a mindset. Sometimes I have corporate meetings with CEOs, and I'm in the office and everything. I mean, nobody knows. I mean, so just because you live out of a car doesn't make any difference about who you are. It's just your living circumstance, or you're living in a sailboat like John. Like if you meet John at Home Depot, you shouldn't be able to tell he lives in a sailboat. And if you meet me, I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell me how I carry myself, how I treat other people. It's like that's a mindset, and that's what people don't understand. Like there's some people that have bought into the YouTube version of living in your car. Like they want to like just sit in their car and talk about living in their car. I mean, you see my videos. I talk about a variety of topics because I'm a well-rounded person. I live life. My life is not based on living in a car. I mean, that's only one part of it that inspires me. That's my living circumstance. But I'm engaged in life and living life to its fullest. So, there's that different mindset there. Gloria. Quotation marks. Outlander was perfect. Just the right amount of sex and nudity. There you go. Porn is too heavy. See? And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, I mean, that's why I speak to all issues directly. I try to be respectful. I try to be fair, listen to different perspectives. But look, when it comes to sex, people have to get past like that society, like, oh, it's so taboo to talk about. And the people that think like sex is so taboo to talk about, they're the people that watch child porn, that are sexual predators. Look, sexuality is a part of human nature. And address it. We all have it, just like everyone takes a shit. You think I made a video about that? I've been blessed. I dated a couple very hot women. You think there aren't everyone has period stained underwear somewhere, okay? I don't care if you see a chick on Fifth Avenue wearing Prada, Gucci, and jumping out of a Bentley. In her house, there is a pair of period stained underwear. Should she be ashamed? No. It's a bodily function, B. It's like, so it's like the same thing. Like you see a guy on Wall Street trading stocks, he's got some dookie stained underwear. I mean, this is all like bodily functions. Like, again, now there's a difference between, somebody walking around and they got dookie stains on the back of their suit. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, that's a different mindset. But I'm just trying to address head on that sex, orgasms, being, that's all healthy. Now, it's certainly a level of unhealthiness where you see people like addicted to porn or like, sexually, going outside like and exposing themselves to people and stuff like that. I'm about everything doing lawful and respectful. But what I'm trying to say is in a healthy, self-controlled manner, using your sexuality, there's nothing wrong with that. Whether you're a woman, male, straight, gay, whatever. As long as you're not hurting anyone, okay? And as long as you're not, exposing yourself in public and things like that. I mean, come on. Are we going to go back, like I said, to the 1900s? Again, look how far society's evolved. Like back in the day, like they would put like chastity belts on people to restrict them from masturbating. Back in the day when you had a mental health problem, you know what society's answer was? They would drill a hole in your skull so demons could escape. That's what I'm saying. When you start to get hopeless, look how far humanity has come, especially in the United States of America. Look how far we've come in 100 years. 100 years ago, if you had a mental problem of depression, you would get taken to a psychiatric ward and they would drill a hole in your skull so the demons would escape. Okay? So, there's nothing wrong looking at porn. All right? And there's nothing wrong with, taking care of yourself, mind, body, and soul. All right? Oh. Praise the Lord. Amareya. Okay, Outlander is now on my list. Amen, Amareya. Nothing wrong with that. Gloria, sign up for Stars. Yeah, I used to watch Stars and watch all the back episodes. New season starting soon. Well, I'm just watching YouTube. I don't want the extra bills, but I'm not mad at you, Gloria and Amareya. Harolding Patrick. Hello, brother. I hope you're staying warm, brother. I'm digging your channel. You speak a lot of truth. Thank you, Harold. Good to see you. Respect and love and welcome. Thank you, brother. Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm still in the Florida area. I gotta head back up north. So, I mean, I have this on now because it's nighttime. It's around I don't know, almost 60 degrees, but I'm blessed. I'm headed back up north where it's gonna be like 4 degrees. But thank you, brother. Welcome, and I appreciate the encouragement. It's Miss Kimberly give the 3 laugh ups and like to the head emoji like this guy's going wild. But you know how I get down, it's Miss Kimberly. Star Pack. Don't let others judge you on how you want to live your life, period. Amen, Star Pack. As long as you are not harming others, live your life. Amen. Exclamation mark on that, Star Pack. Totally agree. Totally agree. If you're harming others, you're an asshole. If you're not, and you're being respectful, do whatever you want. Okay, period. I agree with that. It's Miss Kimberly gave 3 laugh out loud emojis and the dookie poop emoji. Amen to that. It's Miss Kimberly. American writer, we all poop. That's right. American writer, a good brother from Arizona, and he takes a shit in his house, and I take a shit in public restrooms. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, nothing wrong with that at all. Show enough. What's going on? Show enough from Oklahoma. Great viewer, enjoyed the line stream a couple nights ago. My cookie stain game is on point. Amen, brother. Dookie stain, he meant to say. I understand. Good to see you, Show enough. No Man's Land, laugh my ass off. You too funny, bro. It's good to laugh. It's good to laugh. It's good to laugh. It's good to smile. It's good to connect with other positive people. It's good to cut off assholes or contentious people. We pray for them. We wish them the best, but we cut them right off. I'm not trying to convince people. I mean, but it's good to laugh. It's good to be serious. It's good to be well-rounded. And that's what I like in life. That's what I try to express. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And then it's Miss Kimberly, 3 laughs up and 2 hands up. Finger points to, I believe, No Man's Land. Yeah. Gloria. As long as you don't, and then quotation marks, take things in your hand. I agree with that. On the street corner, all is good. Amen. I agree with that. Now, I do believe in self-defense. I mean, if somebody attacks you, you have a right to self-defense. But don't irritate the situation and don't try to avoid it. I try to avoid all conflict. Now, I'm not one of those passive people that say you always turn the other cheek. I'm not. I'm sorry, I'm not. I don't believe in that. I mean, there's certain things in the scripture too that, Now, I do not believe in eye for an eye, and I believe as much as you can be humble and avoid conflict. But if someone attacks you, I believe in the right to self-defense. I believe in the right even to bear arms. I mean, I believe it. Because you certainly see, when you don't believe in that, you see oppression. So I'm not going to speak that you don't have the right to self-defend, but I want to be very cautious when I say that I'm not talking about irritating the situation or causing conflict. But I'm very right that, you have the right to protect your personal space if you're attacked. And that's just what it is. That's just what I believe, period. I mean, I pray it never comes to that. Believe me, I've tried always to avoid conflict. I mean, once in a while it's coming, it is what it is. But I don't want it, because what I understand is, it doesn't matter who you think you are. You can get beat, and it doesn't matter who you think you are. You can get killed. None of us are Superman or Superwoman. I mean, we're all human. We all bleed, and we all can die. So, and that's part of it too. You got to be around the right people. Watch where you are certain times of night, etc., etc. I mean, I've been through different parts in life, believe me. I mean, I don't share it, but I try to share as much as I can, but I've seen enough. Violence isn't the answer. That's what I'll tell you. And I believe that with all my heart. And I'm not trying to pander to you. I'm telling you, violence is not the answer. It doesn't end up in a good place. Benny, is that 2 sunroofs? Yes, this is the My Sky roof. So this first one's automatic. I don't know if you can see that. Let me try to up this up. See that? Now that goes automatic. Now there's an Allen key. This is a Jeep Renegade Trailhawk edition. These are called My Sky roofs. There's an Allen key. This will pop out. And there's an Allen key for this, and that'll pop out. This back one's not automatic though. But that's what they call a dual My Sky roof. That's why I like the Renegade. So during the day, it's like a small version of the Wrangler. So like you could take those two off. Oh, that feels good. I feel fresh air, I feel alive. Oh, I'm gonna leave that open maybe, because I'm in a somewhat quiet spot. But yeah, I like that. That's what inspires me about the Jeep Renegade. Praise the Lord. Thank you, brother, for asking. Benny's in the house. Joe Humphreys. What color is your Renegade? Well, I don't want to disclose that. I try to keep a little privacy. But it's a cool color. Have you done a video tour of the outside? No, because I try to keep a little privacy. I mean, I don't want to, I got to keep a little bit of my personal boundaries. I share a lot. I got to have some personal boundaries. But I respect the question. I do respect the question. And, sometimes people can still tell it is what it is. I mean, I'm not trying to hide anything. But I just have to feel well in my mind when I share something. It is what it is. Some people know I know people that watch me. There's people that know me in real life that are, so it's, it is what it is. Again, but I'm a respectful person. I'm not breaking any laws, but there's some stuff I just don't want to share. I have done different videos on an inside setup though. Star Pack. I'm not sure what it's called, but I think it's called reasonable force. It means when something happens to you, you have to go to court or something and explain why you did and what you did to defend yourself. No, you have a right to defend yourself. You can self-defend. But certainly, sometimes people even take that too far and they take the law into their own hands. And what I'm trying to tell you is, even when you are fully right in defending yourself, it's very hard to prove everything 100%, because most times it's just hearsay, and you got to be very careful. That's why I believe in digital documentation. Have a GoPro camera. I believe in police officers having cameras on them, and all those things being viewable to the public. Now, if you just get in a conflict with a regular citizen, it's hard to prove it, even if you're right, man. So avoid it as much as you can. And believe me, I believe it now. I was immature in my past, but I tell you, as soon as you see conflict and it's coming, just call 911. Don't try to be tough guy. Tough guy, it's not wisdom. Don't try to be tough guys. Now, I see a couple funny things. I'm going to get to them now. Benny, that's really cool. Thank you, Benny. American Writer, what's your social security number? God bless you, American Writer. I did. It's Miss Kimberly laughing. Amen. Amen. Good to laugh. Starpack, I can't wait until you hit it big! Exclamation mark. People are going to go out looking for you eventually. I'm waiting for the day to see people looking in through the window waving. Yeah, I mean, that's the give and take with sharing your life. And I do struggle with that sometimes. But it is what I try to do is just trust God with my life. But that's the give and take about sharing your life. I've made different videos about that. Is it worth it to share your life? Because you do get, sometimes it's not worth it. Like, as far as like financially, I'll do a video on that when I get my first paycheck from YouTube. I still have, I've uploaded over 500 videos. I got about 100,000 views total. In my account, it says I made a total of $350 approximately. They haven't cut the check yet, because once you have to get to 10,000 views before they send you a check, or before you can start making money, and they put advertisements on your channel. You have to get to 10,000 views. That's a lot of views. And then even when you do, like, you get like 1 cent a view. I mean, something like crazy. And so the amount of time I do, and I go live every night, I mean, it's less than minimum wage. I'm sharing all that to be transparent. One is, so I'm sharing that so then you know that if you don't do donations on the average person, you can't be doing this for the money, because you're not going to make sustainable money. There's no way. I mean, 6 months, if you're lucky, I mean, I have a ton of videos. To make $300 in 6 months, I mean, you'll never be able to live on that. That's crazy. I don't care if you don't have any taxes. I don't care if they pass tax reform and you don't pay anything. It still don't matter. So the only reason you would do this, if you're doing it for the right reasons, is partly, I mean, that's a plus. I don't want to pander to you, but partly is you have something inside you want to share. But the bad part about this, I've 90% good people, 10% bad. I met 10% bad people even today. Like, they come in with negative comments. You got to block them. But those comments play in your mind. Just like if you go to a grocery store and you have a conflict with somebody in the grocery store, you replay that conversation all night. Imagine, putting yourself in a public position where and I share on every topic. I speak directly on every topic. I don't pander. And I'm a respectful person, though. But some people are still not good enough. And so you just think about the different things I talk about and what I have to deal with. And then, I really have no reason to. I mean, because already, like I said, I'm living very below my means. I mean, for me, doing this is only really for my creativity and partly sharing. I mean, I get blessed by it, so I'm not saying it's a one-way street. It is a two-way street. But that's a trade-off I think about. And how big do you want to get? Like I say, what I'm doing is I'm just focusing on being myself. I'm taking my small steps and letting God lead my path. I believe in putting God first. And then I just got to trust Him with my life to that extent. You understand what I'm saying? And pray for His grace. Good question. American Writer, laugh out loud. Joe Humphreys, have you ever struggled with mental illness? I believe if everyone in this world's being honest, I believe everyone struggles with mental illness, just like everyone struggles with physical illness. I don't know one person in this world that hasn't struggled with physical illness, whether it's a severe disease or whether it's a common cold. So it's the same thing with mental illness. Some people have severe mental illness, and some people have the common cold equivalent of mental illness. Thoughts of sadness, thoughts of depression, etc. And I've dealt with them directly in videos. So yes, I've had it, but on a range not to the extreme, just like with physical. So if you're being honest, that's part of society still growing. All of us have mental illness. But the question is not drowning in your thoughts, addressing them. And just like physical, how do you address physical illness? You take care of yourself well. How do you address mental illness? You take care of yourself well. Okay? Physical wellness, you eat right, you exercise, you do everything you can based on what you can control. Now, there's some things, DNA, that, maybe you can't. But same thing with mental illness. What do? You do everything you can control. You keep yourself around healthy relationships. That means cutting off people, even if they're your family members, that aren't good for your mental health. That means that also eating the right things plays a part in your mental well-being. Science shows that. You go for walks, you listen to music, all those things, you self-express. You don't keep everything bottled up, but you self-express in a positive manner in your overflow. You manage your time well. That's part of mental health. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. That's also part of doing mental health. So that answers the question, and I thank you. I think that's a great question. I think everyone should deal with that question. Show enough. What do you get at Starbucks? I get a small pike coffee with cold soy milk on the side. That's all I get. I'll have 4 cups max. You are allowed 4 8-ounce cups of coffee max per day, as far as the daily recommended for your health. But I get a small pike, no sugar, soy milk on the side. Show enough. I'm an American guy with a little cream and sugar. Okay, I'm not mad at that. Well, my first step of taking care of myself better physically, I cut out the sugar in my coffee. That was my first baby step. I recommend that if you want to, you try to do that. Even if you keep the cream, cutting out your sugar, and especially that's all refined sugar in your coffee or tea or whatever you drink, that was one of the first baby steps I took towards getting my health in order. Now I have a completely plant-based diet and etc., etc. But taking care of yourself well is a huge part of living well. So I'm a supporter of that. It's Miss Kimberly, 500 plus subs though, and I'm very thankful. And I realize they can go down at any minute, and they have gone up and down at times. But I'm thankful for them. But I'm just going to continue to be me and let God lead the way. Thank you. It's Miss Kimberly, one of my original viewers. I appreciate you. Benny, I see a lot of police brutality on videos on YouTube and even Facebook, especially in the U.S. Has anyone seen any personally? I've seen some. It's just like everything else. You will see what you seek, right? And then once you see one police brutality video, YouTube, through its algorithm, will put other ones in your corner. So just like when you watch one video of someone living out of your car, you're going to see a million other recommended on the side. But the reality is, there's 1% of less society living in your car. I've gave the statistics. You've got 300 plus million people living in America. You have less than 3 million people living in their car, in my opinion. So it's the same thing with police brutality. I mean, you may see a lot on YouTube, but it's still probably less than 1% of society. The problem is we tend to gauge things based on the 10% rule. And I don't even think it's that high, but there's 10% of society that's shit, and there's 90% that's decent. The problem is, if you have if throughout the course of the day, this is how you always look at it. Throughout the course of the day, if you get 9 compliments, but one person you meet out of the course of the day, if you meet 10 people, 9 of them say you're beautiful, you're great, you're smart, but one person says you're a fucking asshole, at the end of the night, what do you think you I want to repeat that because my live feed got knocked off. I apologize that. So it's like everything else. If you meet 10 good people, 9 people encourage you. I'm back. 9 people encourage you, but one person says you're a fucking asshole. You think about the asshole. That being said, I also address things specifically. We do have a legacy in this country of inequality. It's gotten a lot better. How does it continue to get better? My solution would be there needs to be a law that every officer should have, and every officer should have body cameras on them. And those cameras should be viewable to the public. The public taxpayers pay the salaries for police officers. And now there's a lot of women and minorities that are police officers. So I believe that needs to continue to happen so everyone has a stake in the game. And then you also need to have body cameras. And then you also need to even the judicial system is still a little bit of a struggle. But to answer your question around the topic of do you see a lot of police brutality, I think, again, it's in a smaller percentage of society. But when you look at something, then you gravitate towards that's the majority, but it's really not. And that's how we continue to address that issue to ensure equality for every person in this country, in my opinion. Let me scroll back. I'm sorry. Joe Humphreys, have you ever visited England? ? And what would you think of Great Britain as an American? Well, one is I've never visited England. And what do I think about every different country? I bless every country. I think every other country is great. Whether it's Afghanistan or whether it's England or whether it's Africa or whether it's Vietnam or whether it's whatever, China. I believe in humanity. And I believe more and more society will go to a universal humanity mindset. We're already globally connected. I mean, people from all over the world join these live feeds. I'm on a small scale. So we're past the point in society where we're looking at just individual countries. And there's good and bad in every country. Now, beyond that major theme, that mindset that I want to view other countries towards, the next mindset is, no, I haven't went to England on a personal level. Only I don't have a desire to. Just like I don't have a desire to visit Arizona and I love American Writer, but I don't have a desire. There's different parts of America. I don't have a desire to go into the desert. Not because I have any disrespectful feeling towards the desert, but I like to be by the ocean. I like to be in warm climates. I don't want to visit Maine, and it's in America. Am I disrespectful to Maine? No. I like Florida, and I like the Jersey Shore in the summer somewhat, but I really like Florida. That's just what I like now. That's my personal preference. But I want to show respect and love to every part of this country and in every other country. And then again, I want to work together in a mindset of a global society. I believe in that. And that we start to look at each other like humanity rather than isms, rather than, New Englandisms, Florida. Look, we're all humans. You understand what I'm saying? And so, people have to get past that bullshit. But people don't. Patriotism is just like religion. People use it to divide and to rule over people. People get divided based on religion and patriotism. Governments sometimes use that to fire people up emotionally. Because God forbid you start to look at people like humanity, you may have a different mindset. Now, I believe in America as far as what it stands for, but I also believe that America also has some shit. I mean, America, in the Constitution, it used to be that a black person is only 3/4 of a man. So, but what America also has is it showed evolution. Some other societies are ruled under religion, whether it's Islamic law or whether it's a Jewish state, it's religious law. Doesn't matter. Two religions, and they aren't a democracy. I believe in overall democracy, but the problem is with a democracy, even when you have a democracy, I've seen, like in Egypt, sometimes they voted, even when the people voted, they voted for an extreme religious person. And so do you leave that person in power? That's the tough part about democracy. That's the tough part about keeping peace. You understand what I'm saying? On a real global, real integral level, that it is not easy to keep people united and to keep people in peace. It's not. Because and when people question that, all I say is look at your own family. Most people struggle to keep the peace of 5 people living under the same roofs. That's why most people, when they get of age, a lot of people don't mess with their parents, they don't mess with their siblings. They may see them once a year on the holidays. Why? Because it keeps the peace. It's not easy to keep people together. It's not easy to treat everybody fair because it's hard. But I'm sharing with you honestly how I view this world and how I view life. Sure enough, I just found this Vietnam place that has some awesome coffee. I'm not mad at that. I had some Cuban coffee that was real good, but Starbucks is for me. But I never had Vietnamese. I know I'm messing it up. I had never had that type of coffee, sure enough. Milano says, I'm back, laugh out loud. Gloria, I make PBC coffee. I don't know what that is. With a stevia sweetener and heavy cream. I'm not mad at you. What's BPC stand for? Milano, some people provoke policemen, and that is why they start most of the time. Sometimes that's true, and sometimes you just get a bad police officer. I mean, it's like I say, it's just like everything else in life. Sometimes you get a great person helping you in the supermarket, and sometimes you get an asshole. But what can you control? You can only control yourself. And everything else, you document and then you escalate. That's the only way to deal with conflict. Now look, there's always going to be exceptions in life. I can't speak to every situation. On average, remain calm, treat everybody with respect, and if there's an issue, document and escalate. Now, certainly there's going to be things that you can't control, but this is the general mindset that I'm saying with life and conflict. We lost them all. That must have been when I lost my live feed. Starpack. I don't care for coffee, but I have been drinking tea. Tea's cool. Tea has more caffeine, though, on average than coffee, depending on what type you get. I have not found a flavor I like, and any suggestions. I drank tea for a while. I wasn't a big tea person, but as I understand globally, tea is actually the bigger consumed liquid than coffee on a global scale. The United States of America tends to consume more coffee, but in many other parts of the world, tea is the more common drunk liquid. Stand strong and don't leave. We can make it through the bad Wi-Fi. Thank you, Starpack. Milano, just do not waste your time with police like Judge Judy. Oh, she's another. I have a lot of things I can do right now. No, amen. I hear that. Benny, have you got any fines, Sam? Well, I've gotten tickets before, sure. I've paid them off. Sometimes I've gone to the prosecutor and said, look, I feel this wasn't, I was only doing like 5 miles over or whatever. And they say, all right, well, we'll get rid of the points. You got to pay the fine. So, but there's been times, when I've been, in the middle of projects and, well, smoking weed in the car, but they didn't catch us for that. But we saw the cops coming. We got out of the car and the cops surrounded the house. And they were looking, they pulled me and my man out of the house. Somebody got robbed up the street. And so they were just looking to see anybody in that area to see if they were the robbers. So, here we were, we weren't getting stopped or anything for weed, but we were like, they had like our hands up and they were questioning us. I just kept it calm. And I told my man, look, we didn't do anything. Just keep it calm, because he was getting upset. I said, look, we're good. Just, don't give them any problems. And that's it. And they shined a light on the thing. They took the guy that got robbed. They put him in a police car. And then they had them come look at us. And he said, no, those aren't the guy that robbed me. And then they let us go. But my man was like, and I love my guy. But I told him, like, because he was getting upset. I was like, B, don't get upset. No reason to get upset. We're good. So you understand what I'm saying? Like, you have to be like, don't make it worse. Just let them do what they got to do. And if it is what it is, then we'll handle that down the road. So you understand what I'm saying? I mean, I've been in different scenarios. I can't tell you every scenario, but I'm trying to tell you that it's been more, but I've never had like, any major, but this is what life is. You understand what I'm saying? Benny, have you ever, I just answered that. Gloria, I have been to 4 countries. Okay. 2 were not women friendly. See, that's what I'm talking about. Society and global. Women didn't always have equal rights, along with minorities and other groups. And that still has to be spoken to, especially in Gloria's generation. Gloria's in the 70s. And that's what people think, like, all of a sudden, I mean, it's only been, one generation before really equal rights for everyone, including women. So let's be thankful that people spoke up to ensure rights for all. And, we continue to do that. We acknowledge progress, but there's other parts of this world that are totally oppressive to women and to different tribes. Across the world, it may not necessarily be based on race, but it's based on tribalism. In Rwanda, over 100 million people died in a couple months. Why? Tribalism. Sunni and Shiite, both Muslim groups, but why do they fight each other? Tribalism. It's based on power. Certain people in power want control. And I believe also with relation to women, I believe women add a healthy balance to society. And the men don't want women to be able to have equal rights because they want to control women. So there's a whole level here in all different aspects of the world. And the reason people oppress others is power and control. But it also spans across race and religion and gender. This is a power and control problem. And people fight to their death to give up power and control. And that's why you have to be very careful with who you appoint as leadership. And you have to be engaged in society. Because, the scripture says, when you have a corrupt leader, a nation will fall. And I think, you have to be mindful of that. You have to be mindful of having good leadership. That's part of life too. And then whenever you have money, you could have corruption. You can't get around that either. I have been to 4 countries. 2 were not, this is Gloria speaking now. I have been to 4 countries. 2 were not women friendly. You need to travel to see how other halves live. I agree with that. I have suffered culture shock and I have learned a lot. Amen. Gloria, great comment. Gloria has some great life experience. Travel, the value of travel, it expands perspective. Even in America, if you travel to different states, May, I believe, said she's from Brooklyn. So she traveled to the South, different cultures. And there's a little bit legacy of more racism there, but a little bit more legacy of racism in the South. Maybe not to the extent of it was, but there's still a legacy there. But not just that, just the culture in general. And the same thing with going to different parts of the world. Like I always say, I watched an interview with Malcolm X on YouTube, and that's what he was saying when he was very young. He was a little bit more closed-minded, but he said one of the valuable things he learned in his travel was he learned that there were also white people standing up for inequality. And he said before that, he was very anti-white. So that always stuck with me, not necessarily on the racial lines, but on the lines of the value of travel. The value, and I'm not a huge traveler as far as like going across the world, but I've traveled all up and down the east coast of the United States of America. But I believe even if you don't have a desire to travel a lot, what I want to speak on is traveling outside your 30-mile radius. Don't live a life that you only travel within your 30-mile radius 90% of your life, and you only go on 10% of vacations. And then when you go on vacations, you take a plane ride or you take a train and you go only to the tourist areas. You don't get a feel for different cultures and different mindsets. Now, I'm not saying you should do things that you don't like to do, but what I'm trying to say is when you see different cultures and different mindsets, you're more well-rounded and you understand this world a little bit better, and you're able to be a little bit more of a solution-based person. Now, because still people ain't gonna like you no matter what, but I think there's value in travel. It adds perspective, and it adds a well-balanced mind, in my opinion. Good comment, Gloria. Sailing James. St. John's earlier gray black tea blended with oil of bergamot, okay, from Italy. Okay. Wow, okay, you guys got some different unique things. I didn't know that. Shonuff, BPC, bulletproof coffee. It has butter in it. Really? Is that what that stands for? I never heard that. Joe Humphreys, what do your tattoos mean and symbolize? Planning on getting any more? And as you asked me about my tattoos, I'm taking this off because I'm hot. So Joe asked me about my tattoos. Now I'm all tatted up. I mean, I don't even know how many count, but I got over 30. I mean, I got all my arms tatted up. I'm tatted up on my hand. I got my whole back is tatted up. So they all a level of inspiration. Some are spiritual. Some are wisdom quotes. Some are for people that I've known that have passed away. They're either spiritual based, wisdom quotes, memory of people who passed away, and that really encompasses the general tattoos that I have. This one I have is a bird, and it says the word nomad on it. I got that when I started living a lifestyle. That's my newest tattoo. But tattoos are a form for me of self-expression of creativity. Now, Tupac was one of my heroes, one of the people who inspired me. I don't agree with him 100%. I don't agree with anyone 100%. But what to me he did was he got rid of the stigma of the tattoo. Now, a lot of people look at it like, oh, you know, he made it a bad thing where, like, if you got a tattoo, you're a thug or whatever. But he defined a thug in a different way. But that's a whole nother conversation. But what I'm trying to say is how has society evolved? From a religious standpoint, if you got a tattoo 100 years ago, you were going to hell. Just like if you cut your beard, you were going to hell. Because that's also in the same book in the Bible, in the Old Testament. If you cut your beard, you were like expanded. So what I'm trying to say is society evolves, okay? And tattoos aren't demonic. What they are is a form of self-expression. Some people can't accept that. Who can't accept that? Usually the older generation. Now, even they have passed off. Because now most people I see, even in the corporate world, they have tattoos. So it's not a stigma anymore. But for the older generation that haven't fully accepted it, they'll cycle out. But all the new generations, the norm. And it's almost like a cycle repeating itself, because way back in the day, a lot of hundreds of years ago, many people had tattoos. I mean, it was a different form and different reasoning. But what I'm trying to say, society evolves. Just like witches. I talk about that. Christianity, whatever you say. I mean, people used to be harsh on witches. And I think Gloria shared this. She's a pagan witchcraft. Now, she says she's still evolving with her spirituality. But shame on the people who practice Christianity and at a certain point they burn witches at the stake. Shame on them. How is that love? I mean, you could disagree with somebody. I disagree with some people on some shit. But, like, you understand, I'm not here to tell them to go to hell or burn them. Just like if somebody has a tattoo, it doesn't mean they're a bad person or a good person or whatever. Just because someone has a beard doesn't mean they're a good or bad person. I mean, this is all I'm trying to say. Like, society put different stigmas on different things. And that old mindset, just because it was generationally handed down to them, they accepted that as truth instead of critically thinking for themselves. And that's not good. I'm backed up on some comments. I'm sorry. Gloria, bulletproof coffee, that is what it's called. Has butter in it, energy boost, tastes great. Wow, you guys told me something. I didn't know that. Thank you, Gloria and Shonuff. Benny, lemon and ginger tea is the healthiest thing ever. Okay. Yeah, I definitely have heard that. Well, green tea is very healthy, but I know tea in general. I mean, it has a lot of caffeine, but it can be healthy. I mean, you just got. My opinion is just don't put sugar in the tea or coffee, and you're healthier. You put sugar in that tea or coffee, no good. Now we all like a little sweetener. I understand, and I'm sure that soy milk that I drink has some sweetener in it. So I don't want to be a hypocrite, but I'm just saying, be mindful. Joe, you should check out Birmingham. You would check out Birmingham sometime in England. Okay. Well, thank you, Joe. And Joe, are you from England? Love and respect to you out there. JPM, I got it out. JPM says, I got to have my sweet tea. Well, JPM, I'm not mad at you, but let me tell you something. My mom got sugar diabetes fucking with that sweet tea. Okay? From Wawa and from McDonald's. Getting those large sweet teas. Now, we all like our sweeteners. I understand. I'm not judging. But be careful, because that shit has results. And my mom, her feet burn at night. Why? That damn sugar diabetes. And those damn sweet teas. Now, I understand she does other stuff, but I just want you to be careful. Your health is your wealth. Taking care of yourself, mind, body, soul is wisdom. Now, that being said, I want to pull myself back. Again, I'm sure that soy milk I have has sweetener in it. I eat different health bars that have sugar in it, so I'm not saying no sugar. I'm just saying be mindful. You understand what I'm saying? Benny. Sorry, not ginger, lemon, and honey. Aha, I'm not mad at that. Honey's got a lot of sugar in it. Be careful with that, brother. Gloria. I was pulled over at a checkpoint and have had firearms in the car. I thought I was going to die. I stayed cool, and the cop was cool. Just asked why an old lady had so many guns. Amen. Gloria's packing heat. I'm not mad at it. Gloria's packing the heat. I'm glad everything went well. It's good to laugh. Star Pack. One thing I noticed is that first thing we think of is society taught us. Yeah. So whenever I see something, I always think twice. You should. That's wisdom. Star Pack. Just my personal experience. No, amen, Star Pack. Good experience. JPM. Spend it, baby. Be careful with that spend. I'm not mad at you, though, JPM. Benny. There's still a stigma on tattoos in the workplace. I don't think there should be. Well, it depends what workplace. I mean, again, it's in the South I see that. Well, it depends on what environment. Now, I shouldn't say the South. It depends what environment. I've been in corporate meetings in New York, in New Jersey, with high executives for big companies. And usually my arms are covered, but they see my tattoo on my hand. I had no problem. Now, but again, it's how you present yourself. In most cases. Now, if you got tattoos all over your face, that's still a stigma. I mean, I'll be honest with you. And I'm not saying there isn't still a stigma. It depends who you're dealing with. But what I've learned is if you carry yourself well and you are focused on business and you are presenting a good business thing and you're executing business for your clients, they don't give a shit. They just want their business getting done. You understand what I'm saying? You could have a suit on with no tattoos and have an all-American look and you ain't doing business right. They don't give a fuck. You could be that's where it's at. I mean, because at the end of the day, what people care about the most? Business getting done, money happening. And like I say, it's really a bit of a mindset and how you present yourself. And are you in that meeting and you're doing that business? Are you prepared? Are you diligent? Are you providing a good service? And that's the number one thing. JPM, but it's there's a little bit there. I mean, I'm at the point where Gloria, I carry a 9mm. JPM from South Carolina. I mean, that's a different culture too. Like I come from New Jersey, in the New York tri-state area where there's a lot of gun laws. You can't carry. If you have one, you got to have it like locked in your home. I mean, it's like purposeless. So down south, whole different culture. Like I'm here in Florida, there's gun shops, a lot of places. I mean, you carry, Arizona, where American Writer is, there's open carry. So the different states within America have different laws and different cultures, and that's all part of traveling and understanding that. That's why it's a contentious issue when gun control is brought up, because different states have totally different feels. People don't realize that. People just think that every state is exactly like theirs, and it's not. It's different. Now, I believe in the right to carry, and I believe that 90% of society are responsible gun owners. I just don't think you need like fucking 20 assault rifles with semi-automatic, capable. I mean, I just think when you get to a certain level, and that's always the debatable thing, when you get to a certain level of arsenal, I mean, what are you trying to do? And like I made a video on, if you're prescribed drugs for mental illness, you should have your gun license revoked. If you look at all the last recent mass shootings in America, every one of them has a common thread. They were all prescribed prescription drugs for their mental illness. Now, like we talked about, mental illness is real for all society. But if you have a severe case where you're taking a prescription pill, and part of that prescription pill, the side effect is suicidal and violent thoughts, that gun license should be revoked and those guns should be reclaimed. Those people who did those mass shootings were all on antidepressant drugs. Shame on the government for allowing. I mean, that's the type of regulation you need. Not taking the guns away from Gloria, but why the hell does a guy that has mental illness and prescribed drugs that have suicidal thought side effects, why does he have 20, assault rifles in his garage ready to go? That's a no-go. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's like common sense, but people don't want to talk about that. It's like one extreme or another. Benny says, Wiz Khalif, my tattoo idol. Haha. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Different people inspire you. There's nothing wrong with that. Some cultures use tats and certain symbols on certain places on their body for healing. Yeah, I mean, different cultures throughout history. Yeah, it's just society thing. I mean, it's all a matter of how you present yourself, how you treat others. That's what life's about, your character. Some people have no tattoos, they're scumbags. Some people are all tatted up, they're great human beings. So what's the answer? The answer is you measure everybody by their content of their character. Period. I got you, Benny said Khalif. Harold Packing. How long did it take you to get your weight down? Good question. I just gave up sugar in my coffee. Good job, brother. 2 weeks ago. And it's hard, but it is helping. Amen. That's one small step. You build it one step at a time. Good job, brother. So, when I was at my worst, 350 pounds, it took me 3 years to lose 200 pounds. The first 30 pounds just melted off because I stopped eating out. I ate out like almost every day. The next is I changed from whites to browns. I stopped eating regular bread. I went to whole grain bread. I stopped eating regular white rice. I went to brown rice. I stopped, having regular pasta. I switched to whole grain pasta. Then the final step was I limited my meat and dairy to the point where I only eat occasional fish. I'm pretty much a plant-based diet. Forks Over Knives, that movie changed my life. 3 years to lose 200 pounds. All natural, no surgery, no gimmicks, no weight loss programs, just doing the research. And also I broke up with a girl at the end. She helped me lose the last 50 pounds. That emotional stress dropped the last 50. But then I got too low. I was down all the way down to 150. I mean, technically I was okay, but I was too frail. So I've sustained that off over the course of 4 years. So 3 years to lose it, 4 years to keep it off. There's two battles. The one battle is to lose the weight. The second battle is to sustain it off and to build a life, not on a diet program, but to change your whole lifestyle and to not have cheat days. You've changed your whole lifestyle. You don't do cheat days because your lifestyle's changed. Now, in the beginning, I had a couple cheat days. I'm not going to lie to you. So you have to gradually get to that point. But what I'm trying to tell you is eventually you have to change your whole lifestyle. And you have to find a sustainable way to do it. So I've shared with you how I've done it. So since I started the journey now, it's been 7 years. 3 years to lose it, 4 years I've had it off. I'm in my 7th year of changing my entire lifestyle. Mind, body, soul approach. Good question. Good job on cutting out that sugar, brother. Gloria, I have a gun for different uses. Undocumented people with mental illnesses will always slip through the cracks. Yeah, and American citizens with mental illnesses, like in Arizona, will just be in a resort area and just gun people down in the middle of Vegas Strip for no reason. So let me tell you something. You don't know when something's going to come. But I'll also say this. I mean, the chances of you actually having your gun and being by it and self-defending is a very small percentage chance. So, but I'm for gun ownership, but evil comes from everywhere. And the problem is it comes from unexpected places. You can never protect yourself 100%. But I agree with the right to have a gun. Now, also, what I would share with you, Gloria, is that there's non-lethal rounds. I mean, the non-lethal round, I think, is the best way to go, because what that does is you fucking shoot somebody with a non-lethal round, it's going to crack their ribs, and if you shoot them in the face, they'll probably still get either seriously hurt or die. But what it is that protects you from getting a charge on you. I mean, you know, a non-lethal round will put a hole in somebody, but it won't kill them in most circumstances. It'll just knock them out. It'll decapacitate them. So if you wanted to look into that, I mean, I think the only reason you should have a gun is for self-defense and to decapacitate someone so you can get away and call the authorities. Now, if you just have guns because you want to kill people, I mean, people have guns for the wrong reason. So non-lethal rounds are a good solution in, protecting yourself well, and also ensuring that don't shoot the wrong person for the wrong reason and then get a murder charge on you. God forbid some kid was just acting stupid, and next thing you know, you got scared, you shot him, and it was a lethal round instead of a non-lethal, and then, who knows, you may be spending the last 20 years of your life in jail. So I think non-lethal rounds, look them up and buy some. I think that's wisdom. Star Pack. When talking about weight, you also have to talk about muscle. Strong people tend to weigh more due to muscle. Well, that's right. When I got down to 150, I had no muscle. I had a six-pack for the first time in my life, but I had no muscle. Now, I was probably on a borderline of eating disorder. I would eat bare minimum because I got scared. After losing 200 pounds, you get scared to eat anything because you think you're going to fucking gain it all back. I wasn't sure. Once you lose weight, the problem is everybody's looking at you now to see if you're going to gain it back, and it's scary as hell. And I had almost an eating disorder of anorexia. I went from obesity to anorexia. It's crazy. So then as I slowly started to allow myself to have a little bit more, I started to trust myself after 3 years. Then I started, because I wasn't lifting any weights. When I lost that weight, all I did was walk and change my diet. I lost 200 pounds, I didn't lift one weight. I hurt myself lifting. That's how I started the journey. And then once I got into the fifth year of having it, once I got into the fifth year of changing my lifestyle, then I started to allow myself to eat a little bit more, and then I started to work. That's where I'm at. I mean, a lot of it's muscle. Some of it I overeat a little bit healthy. I eat all healthy, but I overeat a little bit healthy. But I turn that into pretty much muscle. I don't have a six-pack anymore, though. To have a six-pack, you got to be very, or you're, just the way it is. But good question. Joe Humphreys, how much do you weigh at your heaviest? 350 I weighed at my heaviest. Sorry if you already answered that. I went away for a second. No problem. I got to 350 pounds. And it was no muscle. It was just all fat. Joe Humphreys, how come Americans feel they have the need to have guns, yet the rest of the world don't? Well, most of the world does. The world that doesn't has had oppression. I mean, one is how this country started was we were under oppression from the European Empire, okay? So, and part of the European rule over America, that was the Revolutionary War. Americans fought back against Europe, and we said, look, we want our freedom. And, that's where, when we wrote the Constitution, we said every citizen has the right to have a gun because we don't want, like Europe, we don't want the government to be able to overthrow us and control us and then tax the shit out of us. So that's where you see that debate. And so a lot of societies such as Syria, etc., when the people aren't allowed to arm themselves, then if you have the government and they just want to rule over you, you have no say. And that's kind of what happened in America. When we fought back Europe, the only reason we were able to fight them back was, we were able to bear arms. And that's why the founding fathers put that in the Constitution. We don't want that to happen again. Now, I'm sure it got a little bit extreme because, like I said, now people walk around and you fucking think they're in the military. And, they're just going to Starbucks. You understand what I'm saying? So, but I do agree with the right to bear arms for that reason. Europe at one time, Europe throughout the entire world, they colonized the world. And that was a big problem. If you look at the Caribbean, you look at different lands throughout the entire world, Europe was very unjust. And they ruled over many lands. And they colonized the world. And a lot of people didn't have arms to defend themselves. The Native Americans, the indigenous people in this country, they weren't able to fight off European rule because they had bows and arrows. And, Europeans, they were back, they were at the beginning of being able to use the initial guns. Guns have evolved, but, the Native Americans could only do so much with bows and arrows. Now, the Native Americans, they had their wrong parts too because they had a lot of tribal warfare. So they weren't angels. But what I'm trying to tell you is this is all the evolution of the mindset, and this is why America doesn't want to give up their guns. And I don't blame them for not wanting to give up their guns. I think it's a good thing. Now, I think with regulation, whether you have non-lethal rounds or, again, if you have a mental illness, as far as a severe one with prescription pills that cause violent thoughts, you shouldn't be able to carry, and you shouldn't be able to own a gun. So that's what the conversation needs to evolve into, and we'll get there. But yeah, I don't believe in a society that's not able to defend themselves. I don't believe in that. I mean, even when the civil rights movement started in this country in the 50s and etc., the Black Panthers, which I agree with, they got to a point where they said, look, enough of this shit. We want our civil rights. And they started believing in, not just passive, but also carrying their constitutional right to bear arms. And they started to throw the Constitution back in the face of our white government. And the white government fought that, and they cracked down on the Black Panthers. But that goes to another example too, that also ensures, like, if a certain group ever got so far oppressed that they have the right to bear arms, if they feel their government or whatever, and that was the case. Like I said, it's set in the 70s. That's not a long time ago. Civil rights legislation was really passed. I mean, it's 50 years ago, and it takes a generation for that to filter. So that's why you see there's a certain minority mindset in this country that their grandparents went through that shit. And so, that's the whole reasoning behind being able to arm yourself. Because it's all a matter of, even if your Constitution is written beautifully, if you have some people on top that want to control others, being able to protect yourself and make some movement is part of keeping government honest. That's why you hear me, I overall support a level of a democratic philosophy, but I am not for government is the answer for everything. Now, I'm against a lot of the people that are Republican, just as far as no government, abolish the, EPA, abolish the public schools. I'm not for that. But what I'm trying to say is I'm not totally liberal either. I'm not saying that government's the answer for everything. I lean Democratic. I block people that are just haters, but that's my mindset. Government is not the answer for everything. They're not. And if you look in history, government has underhandedly sometimes oppressed people because they have their own agenda. And because a lot of times, not even the people that are running the show, they're what they used to call, they're the figurehead. Meaning that they're not really the ones in charge. You understand what I'm saying? It's the corporations and it's the big money behind the lobbying. They're the people that really pull the strings. The people in the forefront, they're just the figureheads. They're not the real people calling the shots. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to be very careful. You understand what I'm saying? And you got to get involved. But good question. Harold Patrick. Thanks, brother. Exclamation mark. We're sweet enough without sugar. It's not easy. Sugar's tempting, but I understand. Yeah, we try to eliminate as much as you can. It's not easy, I know. M. West, 200 pounds is impressive. Grace of God, I want to give God glory. I'm believing in grace in God. Thank you, May West. It's a testimony. I share that. It's part of my well-balanced life. I share my mind, body, and soul, my journey with you to help to inspire you and to just share. And I give credit, grace of God, also hard work, but the grace of God, and I'm very thankful. Gilbert, what's up, brother Gilbert? Hey, Sam, what's going on, my friend? It's freezing up here. Gilbert, don't even remind me, brother, but I hear you. Good to see you, Gilbert. God bless you. Starpack, I feel out of place temperature-wise. Laugh out loud. Brother, don't make me upset. I love the cold. Oh, you do love the cold? He says, I love the cold and hate the heat. Really? I live in Illinois, which is near the Great Lakes. Well, thank you, Starpack, for adding that perspective. I grew up with a girl, she said the same thing. She wanted to move to Minnesota. She wanted it freezing. But that's what makes the world go round. Like my man Milano said, thank God that everybody don't like the heat. Florida be packed. And we must remember this as a general life lesson. Different people make the world go round. If we were all the same, it wouldn't be good. So as far as, healthy, you know what I'm saying? So good point. Thank you for sharing your perspective, Starpack. Gilbert says, NY is cold. All caps. I hear that, brother. I'll be back there soon up in that area. Gloria, after dropping 90 pounds, she says, I have a lot of loose skin because she's old and less collagen. Spanx is my friend. Well, that's true. Look, as you get older, whether you lose weight or whether you don't, or whether you maintain your weight throughout your entire life, your skin gets looser. You can't avoid that. Doesn't matter if you're in phenomenal shape. Again, I want to emphasize this world is temporary. The average life expectancy is 78 years old. So, and that's just about across the globe. It's about 80 years old. So, just remember your life is temporary. But to that point, your skin starts to sloop, especially if you lose weight. Somebody asked me that. Did I ever have because sometimes I've seen on extreme weight loss programs, people have the flaggy skin. Thank God I never did. Now, when I got down to 150, I could see certain areas in between my thighs and stuff. There was a little bit loose skin, but that's because I was so frail. I was very skinny. But thank God I never did, because I always had a big frame, but instead of keeping that frame just big and healthy, I just overate. I just let myself go and I went obese. So thank God I had the big frame to hold that weight somewhat, but I definitely have compassion. I've seen people with the droopy skin, nothing to be ashamed of. And as we get older, it doesn't matter if you're in phenomenal shape, you're still going to have it. We all age. This world's temporary. Our spirits may be eternal, but this world, our physical being, is temporary. But as much as you can, take care of your physical well-being, because it's about mind, body, and soul. Praise the Lord. Good comment, Gloria. Joe's, I respect your opinion, bro, but I don't think every man should now need to own a gun just to feel safe. The world has evolved and moved on so much from archaic mindsets. Well, I respect your opinion, and I hear your opinion, and you're heard, and you're part of a voice in the overall global society. It's a give and take. But look at Europe, right? You guys have had quite a bit of different attacks and stuff, and they haven't used guns. So it is what it is. What happened to, people still have guns. They're just not legal, right? France, I'm sure, is the same way, right? Didn't Kim Kardashian get mugged in France? I don't know if they have the same gun law. So, making it legal and legal is only somewhat of the issue. You're always going to have a black market, meaning you're always going to have an underworld. Even in America, when they made alcohol illegal, you still had, that's how the mafia got big. You still had people on the low still selling alcohol. So you're never going to, what I want to put your mind at ease, you're never going to make society without violence. I believe if you wanted to make a step closer to what you're saying is then you go with non-lethal rounds. But you need to be able to have some form of self-defense. And you need to have some form of, to keep yourself from being oppressed to a certain level. But I hear your opinion. I used to kind of think similar, but I've evolved a little bit. It's not an easy issue, but I want to say, Joe, that you're heard, and that it makes some sense of what you're saying, and I want to say that your opinion is respected, and I thank you for sharing. It's Miss Kimberly. Depends where you live. Starpack. Google says it's 10 degrees Fahrenheit outside my house. Starpack. You like the cold. Gloria. Humans are not as evolved as you think. As long as there is murder and cruelty to others, there will always be a need for self-defense. And as long as humans live, you're going to have that. But it keeps getting better. We just got to keep having, positive people keep sharing. We'll get better. We got better from 100 years ago. We'll be better in another 100 years. Technology is going to change the game. Because in 100 years, you'll probably have some type of laser self-defense. And you'll have different colored tasers. Like a blue taser will totally paralyze someone temporarily, and a red laser will kill them. It'll give everybody blue lasers. Nobody knows. Like I said, the Indians were bows and arrows. Did you think they ever think about the type of weapons that we have now? And they never thought about that. And the cavemen who were throwing rocks at each other, they were still, we don't know the future. But as long as humans are in this world, we're imperfect. But so are animals. Animals kill each other. But we're above animals, so we have to, obviously, I'm not saying we should be like animals, but I'm just trying to say this world, that's what I'm trying to make the point. This world is always going to have a level of imperfection, but we should all share our voices. Joe, Gloria, it's Miss Kimberly, Sam. We should all share our voices and try to find a better way, and it's an ongoing process. It never ends. It's Miss Kimberly. I agree, Gloria, exclamation mark. And Trump may start the purge. Oh, no, come on, let's stay positive. But I hear you. 3 laugh out louds. We're having a heat wave. 12 degrees, Gloria says. Whew, God bless you, Gloria. Well, yeah, I think they said it's going to be just as cold in NY time I get back. Shit. In New Jersey. No Man's Land. You think if I sleep in the front seat with the car on, it'll be a problem? All depends what part of the city you're at, No Man's Land. Like I say, it all depends what part of the city you're at. You know your environment better than me. You know your area. So, I'd have to leave that to you, because there's, you know as well as I do. There's different parts of the city. There's different parts of New Jersey. So you have to know your area, know what you should do and shouldn't do. I mean, if you're really cool, like I said, I mean, obviously one night then you spring for a hotel, and if not, then go to a truck stop. If you have a truck, I don't know if you have a truck stop in the city, but if you can go somewhere, where you can warm up, but that's not the long-term solution. I mean, I personally wouldn't do it. I mean, but if you're really freezing, then yeah, I mean, getting your car started, make it warmer. But you gotta layer up, No Man's Land. Are you layered up? Do you have the scully on with the face mask and the scarf? And you gotta have all those layers on, man. And you gotta go to the gym to layer up, because that's not something you could put on. Like you gotta like to layer up like how I layer up with those leggings and everything. You got to go like in a bathroom. You got to be able to fully change. You can't just like throw a sweater on top of your t-shirt, and that's not layering up. Layering up is you strip all the way down. You put on your drawers or whatever. You put on your leggings. You put on your Under Armour knitted compression. Then you put on a couple t-shirts. Then you put on a couple sweatshirts. Then you put on a scarf. Then you put on your mask. Then you put on your scully. Then you put on 2 layers of socks. I mean, that's how you layer up. You don't just put a hoodie on top of your t-shirt. You ain't going to be layered up like that. I learned that lesson the hard way. That's what I'm sharing with you. That's what I would do. That's what I do. Sailing John, it will be the Jetsons. Yeah, they said that though, like in the 50s it'd be the Jetsons. Here we are, 2000, almost 20. We're nowhere near the Jetsons. We're a lot closer with the phones, but we're nowhere near the Jetsons. I mean, we're nowhere near the Jetsons. But good question. I mean, good comment. I like the Jetsons. I thought that was a great cartoon. I really did like that. Excuse me, I gotta charge my phone. Shoot, I didn't realize I wasn't charging my phone. Sailing John. Oh, no, I'm sorry, skipped a comment. Joe Humphrey says, "You seem a very educated man. I seem like a very educated man. Any opinion on the UK coming out of the EU?" So UK stands for the United Kingdom, and EU stands for Europe. Do I have any opinion on it? I understand why, but part of that is from my understanding is the UK doesn't have the ability to create their own currency. So I know they talk about a big part of it is immigration, but a big part of it is the entire EU is all under the monetary policy of the euro. And when when individual parts don't have the ability to create their own currency, then they're subject to their daddy giving them money. And so they want to be able to have their own currency so they can kind of control their own destiny. Part of the other reason is immigration. Immigration has hit Europe recently. Why? Because the Middle Eastern conflict. When the Middle Eastern ball got broken, when we went to war with Afghanistan and then into Iraq, it changed the whole shift of the Middle Eastern current. And then you saw migration into Syria, and then et cetera, and then that all went into Germany, and then it's all spread. And so that's what Colin Powell used to talk about, the generals. Once you crack the glass ball in the Middle East, you're going to have a total dislocation. And so there's various layers of that problem. One problem is, from my understanding of the situation, is the UK wants the ability to have their own currency. Because when you have the ability to make your own currency, I mean, you have more options, and you can print more money. When you're under the euro, you can't print your own money. You have to go to daddy. You have to go to the European government and say, we want more money. If the United States government gets into a jam, we don't have to go to Europe to say print more money. We print our own money. We devalue our currency. That's what we did in the recession. When we got in a recession, you know how we got out? We made money cheap. We dropped interest rates low. We pumped money into the system, and we tried to reinflate the bubble. And we did. And the reason we did, because we can create our own currency. We print money. It's not based on a gold standard. So that's part of the reason. Money is always the major part of it. The second part is the immigration wave, which I just spoke on. The third part is, people always want a level of independence. That's why even in the United States of America, part of our evolution was the Civil War, the North versus South. I mean, that's why a lot of people still hold on to that Confederate flag, because they feel like the Northern Federal takeover robbed a lot of, not just with race, but also robbed a lot of the independent spirit. So in the South, in addition to the race was a big part of it. And it was basically based on free labor, money. They wanted slaves to free money. But in addition to that, the southern part of the United States has a culture of more freedom of government rule, less government rule. It has a culture of that. And so the value of a United States is you have more power and unity. Because if you have a divided country, you will not stand as long. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what the ultimate sell is. So what you have to sell with regards to UK and Europe is the value of being united. Being united is a pain in the ass. Why? Because you have more people you got to keep happy. And it's hard as hell to keep a lot of people on the same page. The only way to sell that is in the long run, we make out better united. Because, we're greater with our defense, we're greater with our economic stability, but you get frustrated when you don't see immediate change, because the more people you are, the more united, the harder it is to shift and to change and to grow. When you're smaller, you can change faster, but you're more vulnerable. I mean, that's how the Soviet Union, they came apart. Divide and conquer. So the value of unity is you can do more in the long run and you have more power. The lose is you have less flexibility and you're more vulnerable to attack possibly, but you can move freer. So there's the trade-off. You have to have leadership that can sell that, and you also have to address the other underlying issues with regards to currency and immigration. So it's a very complex problem, but those are my overall thoughts on it. Sailing John, 19 here. John's living on a sailboat in New Jersey, but 6 degrees from me. Amen. John, man, you gotta make a video out there. People want to see that. It's Miss Kimberly, 3 Laugh Out Louds. Joe Humphreys. What time is it over the pond now? Over the Atlantic Ocean. And when I say over the pond, that's what they basically mean, over the Atlantic Ocean. In the Eastern time zone, again, America has different time zones. You have Eastern time zone, Standard, Eastern, Central, Western, and I think that's it. I don't know if they have another one. But in the Eastern time zone, it's 8:52 p.m. And this Miss Kimberly, I believe, is in Central, so I believe she's an hour behind. So everybody's in different time zones, even in America, even in the United States of America. Star Pack reminds me of Back to the Future. Second one, I believe, when they went to the future. That was a great movie. Great series of movies. I enjoyed most of them. No Man's Land. My sleeping bag is great. It's waking up in the cold that sucks. Yeah, well, one is from working the night shift and living the same lifestyle as you. It gets coldest between 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Those are your coldest 3 hours, because that is when the sun is least visible to your part of the earth. Okay, but that's why the saying comes is it gets darkest just before dawn. Okay, but those are the coldest hours. And I don't know if I said the right part about the sun, but you understand what I was saying. I mean, I don't want to misspeak on that one aspect of how the earth rotates. But 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. are the coldest, darkest points, especially in the winter months. Specifically 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. and that's why it's as cold. But that's a life lesson, that it gets darkest just before dawn, just before the sun rises. Gloria, I have on 3 pairs of leggings, 2 pairs of wool socks, 2 sweatshirts, and a hoodie, a knitted cap, gloves, and I sit in my living room. Amen. Do you just do a fireplace, Gloria, with no central heat? How do you do that? You just layer up? I'm not mad at that. I've done that even when I was in the house growing up. We didn't use heat sometimes, so I understand that. Star Pack, I am glad I discovered your channel. Thank you, brother. You provide lots of insight on a wide variety of topics. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, and you're a very wise brother too. Like I said, you're a future leader. You're a leader now. Thank you. American Writer, UK uses the pound. They don't use the euro. Currently, they use that. The pound, is that what they use? But isn't the pound, well, correct me if I'm wrong, American Writer, isn't the pound tied into the euro though? Are they able to print more money at their own capability under when they were under the euro, or when they were under European, when they're in the EU, when they were in the EU, they have the ability to print more currency, even if they call the currency a different thing. Like they don't call it the euro, they call it the pound. Do they have the ability to print more? Because that's really the differential factor. And correct me if I'm wrong. No Man's Land. No, I really don't layer up. That's the issue. That's what you gotta do. That's what I learned the hard way. I'm great with my bag. It's just the morning when I get out of my bag that sucks. Okay. But it's all love. That nightlife looking in the sky out my rear view. Amen, brother. God bless you. It's Miss Kimberly. It's 7:54 in Houston. Yep, that's, I believe, Central. So they're an hour behind. I agree with that. Joe Humphreys. Thoughts on Quentin Tarantino and his involvement in the Westingstein saga? Joe, I don't know. I'm not informed on that. I believe Quentin Tarantino, isn't he a director in Hollywood? I don't know. I don't know that issue, so I'm not informed on that. I couldn't speak to it. And Starpack says 7:53 in Illinois. Also, Gloria, that also is ours, and that is the hours your metabolism is the lowest. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't know that. American Writer, UK never used the euro and always printed its own money. Okay, so I didn't know that. So the UK can print their own pound at their own will. I wasn't aware of that, so I'd have to research that and verify. But I believe your word for this feed. I'll do research on. Thank you for sharing that, American Writer. Taught me something if that's true. Thank you. But that's great, man. Well-balanced conversation. A lot of good different topics. Very enlightening. Very good. And I'm very thankful. And on that note, I'm managing my time. It's almost, Harold Packett says 30 degrees in upstate South Carolina. Brr. Praise the Lord. American Writer says yes, which I'm believing he says yes, they always had the ability to print their own money. Okay, I'd have to look into that then. Thank you, American Writer. Favorite American state? Joe, if you're asking me that, I'll say Florida. But America's beauty has different parts. It's all subject to your personality. Because again, some people would not like it. And which should I visit as a British citizen? Well, one is knowing yourself is the key to all decisions. So I would just say, one is, what do you like? Do you like warm weather? Do you like cold weather? Do you like mild weather? Do you like hills? Do you like mountains? Do you like flat land? So do you like deserts? Do you like ocean? Knowing what you want to see and then what you haven't seen, and all that's part of the equation. And then what time of year you go, what places. Because if you go, in the dead of winter to certain places, it may not be as inspiring. You have to ask yourself those questions. And then it's just personal preference. Like, do you want to have a Jeep Renegade or do you want to have a Toyota Prius? It's kind of like personal preference. And it's Miss Kimberly said, Texas in the house. And Sailing John, what's the temp there? It's about 60 degrees right now. The Renegade all day long. Amen. Harold Patrick, Sparkle City in the house. South Carolina connecting strong. Good job. Well, good job, guys, everybody. Thank you for another positive, informative night. I appreciate it. Starpack says he loves the cold. One time I even made an igloo in my yard and slept it overnight. It collapsed on me, but it was still fun anyways. Hey, man, it could be. When I was a child, I loved playing in the snow. Snow was very fun and imaginative. I hate it now, but it's all relative. Joe Humphreys, bye from your British counterpart. Thank you, Joe, for the very thought-provoking questions. And thank you, American Writer, again for adding. I'm going to also research on all those things. And peace and love, positivity. Have a peaceful night. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Men and women. God bless.